All right, all right, all right. It's another Saturday night. Therefore, it's another Saturday night. Shoot the breeze. Drop a one for me out there if you can hear my voice. I see Daily Affirmations by Pauline is here bright and early. If you can hear my voice, you guys should be hearing me. I see the thing reverberating. You know what it is? I like to appear early, so to speak, just to give you guys an idea what we're discussing tonight. We're going to talk about a drive to support access to, I guess, clean water in a Tanzanian village. We're going to play a video with the appeal, I think, and then I'll share the fundly so you guys can support. Also, remember that The 4Kast, who's a podcast on KWAZ Radio, he too had a fundraiser to raise funds for, I want to say it's Jackson, Mississippi. So, you should also go and support him with that as well. We're going to discuss what happens when we stay away from our indigenous ways. We're going to try to understand why so many Black people still cling to the religion of their oppressor. We're going to tap in with Dr. Amos Wilson on the question of African culture and spirituality. We're going to, I guess, get a rational response. This one came up because I was on a panel with Bakari, the matron, 4Kast, and Realm in the Bush, Cassidra Cheek. Just last night, we were talking about dating and like the gender wars between Black men and women. You guys make sure to tune into that last episode. We're going to do a follow-up, and I hope to be able to tell you guys in time when to tune in to that follow-up discussion. But check out the first one from last night. We're going to talk about this white girl who was, I think her name is Leilani Armenta, who was the first female white bitch kicker for Jackson State. You know, Bakari likes his HBCU sports. I do too. Well, I used to support it more. I used to watch more football and stuff before the Kaepernick stuff. So we're going to try to answer the question, is that woke virtue signaling? All right, so those are the topics that we have tonight. I didn't get a one, so I don't know if I'm being heard or not, but I'm assuming I am. What I'll do is I'll start the show officially now. And on the other side, okay, Black Steel is out there. He said one. So what I'll do is on the other side, I'll welcome the panelists for tonight, and I'll drop Shoot the Breeze topic number one. So you guys do stay tuned.
You are listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast on KWAZ Radio. Welcome to the Bitter Medicine Podcast, where it's all about Black empowerment. Our show focuses on Black news and entertainment, arts, science, economics, history, people, and strategies that uplift, empower, and motivate Africans within the diaspora. And now your host, whose favorite color is black, Goku.
Welcome back to the Bitter Medicine Podcast. I am your host, Koku. Just want to remind you guys before we get the show rolling that this show is part of a podcast network called KWAZ Radio. There are other shows on the network you are invited to tune into.
This is D Webb with the Harsh Reality Podcast, asking you to tune in where we tackle the news of the day that affects our community, only on KWAZ Radio.
Peace, family. This is Oni, inviting you to listen to the Pro-Black Perspective, where black problems are addressed with black solutions.
Greetings, fam. Tune in to The Learning Curve with me, the Revolutionary Matron on KWAZ Radio.
You are listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast on KWAZ Radio.
Yes, y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. Those of you who are here already, who dropped the one, saying that you can hear my voice, I appreciate you. Let me welcome my only panelist with me so far tonight. I'm sure others will be along shortly. Black Steel. How are you this week, Black Steel?
I'm doing good, Coco. How about yourself?
I am actually hanging in there. It's been very rainy in New York the past few days. I don't know if you saw videos from here with all the...
Yeah, it was terrible over there, man. How you hanging in there?
Well, to be honest with you, where I am in Brooklyn, we're good. It's just rainy, and when it rains, my old Caribbean sensibilities kick in. I just want to be in my bed. I wish I could be in my bed right now during the show. So
raining a little bit right now, but it's nothing compared to what you guys got in New York.
Yeah, but you're in that path where you all always get those weather depressions because of hurricane season and stuff.
Yeah, that's normal. It's normal.
Yeah. Let's welcome in Buana this week. Buana, how are you?
What's good, Koku? What's good, Black Steel? How y'all brothers doing tonight?
Hey, Buana, how you doing, man? Good to see you.
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm sorry I'm late. I was really trying to answer Trigger Happy because me and him have a friendly back and forth. But hopefully if we address the prompt tonight, we'll get into it. But it's good to hear from y'all brothers.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I thanks for reminding me. Trigger Happy had let's just say a pretty lengthy response to that one prompt from last week. So you left some comments directed at Black Steel mostly and Buana. But anyone can chime in. So look up last week's episode, look at the comments, and you too can drop your thoughts, and we can make it quite interactive in terms of the conversation. All right. You guys ready for Shoot the Breeze topic number one?
Yeah, man. Let's get it.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Shoot the Breeze topic number one tonight says, quote, join us in supporting access to water in the Tanzanian village we call home. Your contribution sustains an ecosystem, honors tradition, and empowers a community. Let's ensure Induruma continues to thrive. This came with a link. It's a short video. We'll check it out. On the other side, I'll show you the fundly that goes along with this as well. So here's the video. It's only a 2 and 3/4 of a minute video. I'll play it. I'll play it twice, and then we'll discuss.
Greetings, everyone. Greetings, Afia here. I'm here with an announcement, actually, and also with an appeal. I am going home. I was telling my students, not to Independence, Alabama, my first home. I'm going to our mother and father land of Africa. Now, for some of you who know me, you probably figure I've been at least one time or maybe several, and I have not. And I'm super excited about going to East Africa, Tanzania, to a place called Induruma, because there is Aya Tanzania there. We have been working there for about 2.5 years. And Mama Evelyn Duliyemi, Baba Bayoku Duliyemi, and there are several efforts going on there. One, we are teaching students there math through agriculture. Now, what's important about that is that Tanzania grows over 90% of its own food. I'll say it again, 90% of its own food. And I get excited about that. Y'all know me. I believe we need to grow as much as we can, however we can, whenever we can, and they're doing it. They're also producing 50% of Kenya's food. And that's super important because people are coming in, folk coming in, giving them the idea that it would be better if they didn't grow their own food. Why don't you just get an easier job, get some air conditioning? And of course, we understand that trick, right? They can take care of the land and they can take care of our food production, and that is not a good idea. We want to support their continuing to grow all their food, especially help the young people know how critical that is, and then also take an opportunity to teach them math through agriculture. They will get the math and they'll also appreciate the agriculture. We need your help. Right now, there's an urgent piece of helping to support this stream that runs down through our property there, that feeds people, that gives people water, water for bathing, water for business, taking in laundry, and keeping the fields fertile and growing. We need that help in an urgent way with the stream, and then just your continual help. And please help me because I don't want to go empty handed. I don't want to go home empty handed. I want to go taking some support. So there's an appeal. It's up to 25,000. We need each one of your dollars, however you can give them, and you'll see special ways to support, from helping to support the taking care of that stream, the maintenance of that stream, to helping us to teach a child. There are various things to do. Plant a banana tree that might touch your heart as it does mine. And again, please help. And thank you for helping me go home. Everyone, greetings. Afia here. I'm here with an announcement, actually, and also with an appeal. I am going home. I was telling my students, not to Independence, Alabama, my first home. I'm going to our mother and father land of Africa. Now, for some of you who know me, you probably figure I've been at least one time or maybe several, and I have not. And I'm super excited about going to East Africa, Tanzania, to a place called Indoruma, because there is Aya Tanzania there. We have been working there for about 2.5 years. And I mean, Mama Evelyn Duliyemi, Baba Bioku Duliyemi, and there are several efforts going on there. One, we are teaching students there math through agriculture. Now, what's important about that is that Tanzania grows over 90% of its own food. I'll say it again, 90% of its own food. And I get excited about that. Y'all know me. I believe we need to grow as much as we can, however we can, whenever we can. And they're doing it. They're also producing 50% of Kenya's food. And that's super important because people are coming in, folk coming in, giving them the idea that it would be better if they didn't grow their own food. Why don't you just get an easier job, get some air conditioning? And of course, we understand that trick, right? They can take care of the land and they can take care of our food production, and that is not a good idea. We want to support their continuing to grow all their food, especially help the young people know how critical that is, and then also take an opportunity to teach them math through agriculture. They will get the math and they'll also appreciate the agriculture. We need your help. Right now, there's an urgent piece of helping to support this stream that runs down through our property there, that feeds people, that gives people water, water for bathing, water for business, taking in laundry, and keeping the fields fertile and growing. We need that help in an urgent way with the stream, and then just your continual help. And please help me because I don't want to go empty handed. I don't want to go home empty handed. I want to go taking some support. So there's an appeal. It's up to 25,000. We need each one of your dollars, however you can give them. And you'll see special ways to support, from helping to support the taking care of that stream, the maintenance of that stream, to helping us to teach a child. There are various things to do. Plant a banana tree that might touch your heart as it does mine. And again, please help. And thank you for helping me go home.
Very nice. Here is the Funly. I'll drop the link in the chat. Right, there goes the link there in the chat. If you want to support, it's very simple. Click the link and you'll be able to support. I see a few of you picked up on it. That idea of growing 90% of your food is really, really good. Really, really good. I know I would say most places in the West don't grow even 25% of their food. So that's a really dope thing. The video on the Funly seems to be the same video that we watched. So far they've had 24 donors. They've raised almost 8,000. Their goal is 25,000, and there's 20 days left. So if you could find it within you, give them your donations. All right. Let's see how the panel feels about what they just saw in the video. Buana, what are your thoughts?
Okay, so Brother Bakari tell me whenever I speak concerns towards Black people, I need to be more positive and positively inclined. So I would say this first and foremost. Can you hear me, Coco? Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So the brother say I must speak positively. So what this lady is doing on I think is a good thing. I think it's good to want to help people in distant places. I think it's good to want to help your neighbors and make sure that your neighbors are comfortable and make sure your brothers and sisters around the world are living in good condition. So that's what I say is a positive thing for the sister to be doing. Okay? But let me also add to that. I live in the third world, so-called third world. And when people think of the third world, they think that people in the third world don't have a brain for themselves. They can't do nothing without someone intervening and assisting them to live the life that they was living all along for maybe thousands of years before these people come in and say, well, it's best for you to have a hole here or dig some water here or plant some fruit and vegetables here. My question is this. First and foremost, I don't want to get in the way of people doing for themselves. Rather me impose my ideas and myself onto that situation and say, well, let me do this for you. When all of a sudden when all a while you could do this for yourself. So the question I have is, Tanzania is a country. Tanzania has a government. What is the government doing in terms of water and water sustainability for the people of Tanzania? I don't want to get ahead of them in trying to assist them in their efforts of bringing pure water or natural water to Tanzanian villages. That's first and foremost. Second of all, water is something that human beings been looking pure good water for forever in its existence. What are the villagers, the people in Tanzania doing to find water for themselves? Because I'm sure that they are capable. I'm sure that they are capable of doing it for themselves. That's two. Three, how is me giving you money gonna assist them in finding better water for themselves? Are you gonna buy tools to dig deeper into the water system or water sources? I don't know where my money is going. The fourth thing is, are you an expert? How long have you been in the practice of digging wells or providing sustainable water for people in so-called third world countries and helping them get water, filter water, and making sure they get water? That's fifth. Fourth. The fifth thing is, if I'm giving you this money, how am I gonna see that the money is going towards these specific things? Because you are basically saying, help me. Because it's coming off to me like a hustle. You are trying to appeal to the hearts and minds of the people, really and truly trying to get a bag to live good in Tanzania. If that's maybe in the back of my mind, that's what I'm hearing, but it seemed like you want me to financially support you, let alone, and you using the charity, you using the village people, you using water supply and sources to help me supply your lifestyle. I don't know who you are, man. I don't know who you are. I don't know if you have any expertise in the industry. I don't know who you know in Tanzania. I don't know how my money is. See, maybe it's just me. I don't just like to give away my hard-earned money unless I know it's going to be planted in good soil where it will produce good things that I could say, look at, that I see in some return from the investment I made. Even though it ain't a personal investment, I am giving it to somebody who I believe that is going to use it in a purposeful way to assist people. It seemed like I am giving my money to this lady just to help her personally, indirectly. I know you use the term third world. And what people them don't know better, they think the people in the third world don't have a brain. How is the people in Africa living thousands of years and finding water supplies without you coming there to help them plant a borehole? I don't want to come off negative, Koku. Like I say, I respect the lady and her efforts if they are sincere. I say to anyone who watching this, support her by all means. But for me, I would just leave it alone for now. I'll just leave it. Thank you, Koku.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Buana. I didn't expect that, but I get it, because we do often say that Africa doesn't need foreign aid, that foreign aid is hurting Africa, right? I mean, that's what we usually say out in the West. Yeah, even people of African descent say, what's all that aid been doing? And this is, to me, is a form of aid as well. You bring up 4 or 5 good points there. I want to hope for the best. I want to hope that whoever shared this with us has done some vetting, etc. But it's some interesting points to consider. I'll give it that, and especially when if I think about it in the sense of foreign aid, and most of us would disdain foreign aid in Africa anyway. Black Steel, you heard that?
Sorry, Koku. If you on in Nassau right now, but in Nassau right now, there's an epidemic of grown men. Every day I walk on the streets of Nassau, some grown man asking me for $1. Some grown man asking, and he is just as capable as I am. He can go find work for himself and do for himself. I don't want to give him $1 to interrupt him in figuring out a way where he can earn that $1 rather than begging another grown man for it. Go find a way to earn it for himself. I don't want to interrupt that. You know what I mean? And see, beggars come in different forms and fashion, and they look pretty. They have different. Some of the beggars, some of the people guys, say, buy me something to eat. That's the inroads into you giving them $5 and them to get something different from what they asking for. I don't know these people. I see it every day, and it's just, for me, it's just a different form of it. It's just a different form of it. Like I say, I want to know some more before I dig into my pocket and give you hard-earned dollars. It's not going to be an easy ride for people no more. There's too much of it on the internet. There's too much of it out here. You know what I mean? Get busy and try to do something for yourself. But like I say, I'll leave it there and let Black Steel rock.
Yeah, Black Steel, you've heard everything. You see the chat. Out of Afro Native World says, she's Mama Afia Madzamoyo, co-founder of Aya Educational Institute, an African-centered school that's been running for 25 years. Yeah, and I went to one of their events because of Afro Native World. He put me on to an event I went to. It was real good. I talked about it here. It was about melanin. It was their research. It was pretty good. So I guess Afro Native World is saying, she is legit in that way. Brother Bakari, it says your device or devices are not connected. You may have to hop out and come back in. All right. Black Steel, what say you?
Well, I'm gonna be more positive. Let me just say that food sovereignty is very important. The West has always used hunger as a weapon when it needs to get their colonial subjects back in line. So for a country to be 90% sufficient of their own food, and not only that, but they offer almost half the food to their neighboring country, that's pretty spectacular. I believe this lady. I don't know this lady from Adam, but I'm gonna say this, that it's power to the people. We got to help each other. If we don't help each other out, we don't have anything. So as Black people, African people, we gotta look to each other. I'm gonna put a couple dollars on what she's doing because I do believe it. So I can understand the hesitation, but as far as the question about what she's trying to do, I was looking on her site while Buana was speaking to kind of get more details about the the project she's doing. And we have to understand that fresh water is a commodity all over the world. Climate change is real. I know there are some people who don't believe that, but it's definitely real. So fresh water is going to start to become a commodity very quickly all over the planet. So I believe what she's doing. If she's trying to expand the stream, widen the stream, that's perfectly fine. So to me, I think that what she's doing is a worthwhile effort. If we don't support each other, who will? We can't depend on anybody else but us. Like Dr. John Henry Clark said, Black people have no friends, but we don't really need any friends. There's enough of us to where we can work together, support each other. Because I don't live in a third world country, but I'm still a Black person in America. I'm not rolling in dough, but if a couple dollars towards her program, I definitely will. And I think it's a worthwhile effort, because we need each other. And this is something that she's creating her own school, and it's self-sufficient. This is something we need to replicate. This is something we need to continue to model this, look after this, and build upon this. So I support it 110%.
Black Steel, Black Steel, Black Steel.
Yeah, man. What's up?
If you have a house, right, a nice home, right, nice home for yourself, right?
It's decent,
Yeah, no worries. And if you invite me in your home, right, invite me in your home, and I come to your home or whatever, and I see, well, maybe let me help Black Steel clean up his house without asking him, without asking. So let me help Black Steel clean up his house, and then I start picking up certain things in your house, making it so-called quote unquote clean, right? And not only do I do that, but I start I start a GoFundMe to hire maybe somebody else to come in to help clean up Black Steel house without actually asking Black Steel or wondering whether Black Steel want his house cleaned up in the first place. Would you be offended by that? Would you be offended by the notion of me doing things, acting proactively, without me even coming to you first, giving you some consideration first? So, Black Steel, would you like me to help you clean your house? Black Steel, do you need help? Do you need me to open up a GoFundMe for others to come in to help you, assist you clean up your house? Before I do that, why I can't say, Black Steel, do you need your house clean first? Find that out first. I don't know nothing about. Okay, all right. Maybe I'm ranting. I'm ranting, man. I'm ranting.
I mean, it's okay to be skeptical, but I'm looking at the website now. Like I said, she's already at $25,000. She's already had people donate towards this project. So it does make me feel that she's raised like 75,000. Oh, she raised $7,722. That's not a lot, but I mean, it makes me think she's on up and up. I do.
Yeah, but Black Steel, the important. Yeah, I have an echo. The
Hold
Black
on.
Black Steel, the important thing, I understand what you're saying, and I ain't taking away that she might have a sincere thing in doing what she's doing. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that what is missing from the conversation is the Tanzanian people from the village. Which Tanzanian village did she go into first and foremost? Did she ask these people? I want to see some interaction. Do they want people to come into their village and create a hole for themselves? Or are they just fine with not having a hole? They find their own water source and they are fully capable in and of themselves. I don't like the fact that it almost seemed like oh, it seemed like the people in the village and the people who she is trying to assist almost are like children. You don't necessarily have to defer to them. This person is speaking for them without even having a conversation with the people from the village first. I would think that would be a conversation you would have to have with them first and foremost. It's almost this. It's in my head. This whole idea of saviorism, and it all came from this white saviorism when the Europeans used to come to bring the light in Africa. It's like we need to come in there and save your ignorant, downtrodden people because without us, y'all wouldn't be able to save yourselves. And it just coming off to me that way. Maybe I'm sensitive because I try and hold up on the cigars, but it just sounded that way to me. I don't know. I could be completely wrong.
I don't know because it seems like she's worked with the school. She lives there. She's been in the area. It's not like she's just going there out of the kindness of her heart, it's like gives people money. It seems like she's worked within this institution. She's embedded in the community, and she sees a need and she's asking for help. So, I mean,
Could be
I
tripping.
want. I
I
understand.
could be tripping, Black Steel. I could be tripping, brother. I could be tripping.
You might be tripping just a little bit, man. You know, I don't know what your money looking like. You want to kick a couple dollars towards it, that's fine. If not,
Yeah. I feel you.
share
the
the
link.
link. Share the link, and
I'll trip
maybe
it.
somebody else will pick up the link and share it. I believe it's a worthwhile cause. You know, we can't always view our people with just trust and suspicion. I understand. We've all been burned before, but to me, she looks on the up and up. You know, looking at her site, she seems on to be on up and up. I want to help, and I think it's good that this was posted because we all need each other. We're the only that we all we got is us. We don't have any outside support. So she's coming to the people. Who knows what the government of Tanzania is doing? You know, who knows if they're not? They could be doing their own thing, but they can't handle all type of municipal projects and water reclamation and everything else. See, these countries generally are on the poor side. So she's reaching out to her people, to somebody who might have it. You ever put in $10, $5, eventually she'll get to her goal. And I think we should support that.
Okay, I hear you, Black Steel. I hear you, brother.
Before I introduce the next panelist, I just want to shout out Afro Native World, Yana B, who's in the chat. I saw some new faces, Kindu Shabazz and Conscious Mingle. So greetings to y'all. Kindu Shabazz asked a question. He's saying he's trying to get a feel of the discussion. You know, there's several discussions. There's 5 discussions or so every Saturday night. So this is the first of the 5 tonight. We're talking about this request for funds for a project in Tanzania. So just keep listening, and you'll figure out the whole conversation, and you'll see how things are running. Let's welcome in our brother Bakari. I was on a panel with him last night on 4Kast, his platform, the 4Kast Radio. Good to see you, brother Bakari. How are you?
I'm great, man. What's up to the panel in the chat? First, I want to say this. Carr said he don't live in a third world country. He must ain't never been to Progress Village with all them black folks out there around town.
You know the village, Carr. Hold on. I grew up in the village. How did you know that?
But I'm just letting you know it's third world. I told you I got family out there, man. But now watch this.
Nah, it's not third world. Come on, man.
Absolutely. Dude, I'm just being honest. I can show you places in my hometown. That shit third world. But when Bawana said, how did people in Africa get water 1,000 years ago? We can't live like we lived 1,000 years ago. And for him, and when he say, who say they don't know how? We act like they don't know how. They don't know how. Hate to say it, because everything was taken from them. Do you remember when Robert Mugabe took the land from the people, from them white people in Zimbabwe and gave it back to the Zimbabweans? They had made rules where Africans weren't even allowed to farm. He was offering money for people, for black people from the United States and other places to come to teach them how to farm. He gave the land back and they had no idea what to do with it. We forget what has happened to us. So the thing, it ain't just digging a well and sending money. Have to be taught. They have to be taught about the wells and running pipes to house, so they don't want to. It's 2023. They shouldn't have to walk 45 minutes with 100 pounds of water, just because water is heavy. I don't know, 5 gallons of water, I don't know, 60 pounds. They shouldn't have to walk 45 minutes with 60 pounds of water. So when we say what they did 1,000 years ago, well, we shouldn't live like we lived 1,000 years ago. I understand why black people is skeptical of the trust, but the people that we call coons like Charles Barkley, and I ain't saying nobody here has Charles Barkley money, but as soon as he heard Malcolm Brogdon say, I'm digging wells and we're teaching them how to dig wells and run pipes and everything to their house, so on and so forth, over in, I forget what country it was in Africa. Charles Barkley said, how much is a well? 45,000. Give my 45,000 because my people need water. On national TV, but the people we call, just, I'm not saying nobody here got 45,000. That's what, $100 and some $1,000 to give like that. But what I'm saying is, especially with someone in the chat saying, I know her, they've been educating her child, been educating her children for 3 years now. So that means we just have no trust. We have allowed people like the leader of FDA. We have allowed people like the leader of who's in prison now, or what he created, New Covenant. We have allowed those people to get in our mind where there's no way we should be able to trust no black person because it seems like she's begging. I don't know. I came in late. I heard what Bawana was talking about, and I was reading the chat. But when we say, why don't they know how? We must forget what happened. We have to have forgotten what happened during this damn African Holocaust. It happened to West and Central Africans that was brought here. It happened all over the continent. All over the continent. So yes, if they say they know how, Black Acres of Gambia, Bags. I was watching one of their shows, and I was watching this lady from Europe who moved back over there to Gambia. Those people, they had people show them how to build pipes to go to the house so they can have running water to the house. If somebody don't tell you, if people take books from black people, again, well, they ain't got to do that much taking because black people have turned against education all of a sudden. But anyway, if they take books from black people again and make it against the law to read, in 2050, people in other parts of the world would be like, man, why do black people in the United States don't know how to read? Goddamn, because they took the books and made it against the law. And that's what has happened to our people on the continent. Like the people in Zimbabwe, and I'm saying with everything that has happened, like the people in Tanzania, like the people in what's that? Sudan. Is that Sudan? I forget what my friend Jamila sent that. I sent money because everything they had was just, I want to say it was parts of Sudan, was just ran up and torn down her tribe. And other countries took them in, but they needed money to try and help build houses. But if everything has been taken from you and we have allowed it without fighting back, how you get crooked regime in who's okay with it so they can get rich. You end up with this in 2023, and we got my brother Bawana saying, how did they get water 1,000 years ago? We can't go back 1,000. At least I don't want to live like they lived 1,000 years ago. I don't want to live like they lived 1,000 years ago. I want to live today. And yes, God, Progress Village is third wheel. And on that, at Flint, Michigan, Jackson, Mississippi, I can name all of them in the United States. Where black folks at? Yes, it's third wheel. And on that, I yield Mike.
So hold on. First of all, I grew up in that area, but I live in the suburbs now. So I live in a nice gated community, the HOA. But anyways, I agree with you, though, Bakari. I do think that I don't know about them losing the knowledge. I think sometimes they just may not have the tools available. They might not have the tractors and the fertilizers and everything else that's necessary. So I believe the woman is legit. I'm gonna err on the side of
Did his
optimism.
computer go? Is that me?
I respond.
You want to call to me?
Yeah, I will respond to my Uncle Bakari because Uncle Bakari, I don't know what's going on. Okay, let me. Yeah.
Allow me one quick few seconds.
Okay.
I just want to say to Kindu Shubaz, Afro Native World, and I forgot the other. Conscious Mingle. This is not a knock. This discussion is not at all a knock towards this sister per se, and the teaching institutions she's a part of, and you guys are a part of. The conversation really is about the fundraiser for sure, but another conversation came up out of it, which in general is about vetting people, and so it's nothing personal to this sister. I just want to assure that before we go any further. Buana, go ahead.
Yeah, it's nothing personal to this sister. I don't know her personally. She could, like your brother say, y'all dealt with her personally for more than 3 and 4 years. And for me, it's nothing personal to her. For me, there's a bigger issue at large, which is saviorism. Saviorism. But I'll get back to that. Let me just first say, because Brother Bakari said he came in late. And my first comments towards this lady was positive ones. I said initially, the first thing that came out of my mouth is that what she is doing is a good thing, and if her intentions are good and pure, I respect it. Go back and replay the tape, you would hear me say that. That's the first thing that come out of my mouth. What's the negativity? That's the first thing, right? The second thing is um this idea of, oh, you mentioned Zimbabwe and how Brother Mugabe was asking people from the American places to come and help there with their industry, farming industry. That is commercial farming. Commercial farming is something that's different from subsistence farming, where you farming on a personal level, where you farming to provide and feed for your own personal families. That and commercial farming is two different things. The Zimbabweans have never been capitalists. They never been capitalists. They don't look at the land like that. So of course, to stimulate the economy and to progress the economy, like the whites and the boys been running the economy in terms of commercial farming, you needed people with that mindset to come in to booster the economy towards that regards in as far as economic and commercial farming. So that's why he had to appeal to people in the West, blacks in the West, and certain things like that. So it's two different kinds of things. But what I would say is this: I am very skeptical sometimes when people have this idea of saviorism, because the belief is that the people from the so-called third world are so ignorant. Are so ignorant. They don't know how to take, because this whole term of friggin' third world is a misnomer. First of all, there's only one world. But if the belief is, oh, these people don't know how to do things for themselves, therefore they need some people to come help and assist them. The bringers of the light. This is what the Europeans used to say back in the day. We need to civilize y'all properly, because without us, y'all wouldn't know how to run yourselves, y'all wouldn't know how to live, y'all wouldn't know how to function. I am very skeptical of that mindset and idea, because every society have to go through that natural progression of one phase to the next phase to the next phase. It wasn't too long ago, America was a backwards colony. It was a backwards colony. But for the introduction of innovation, but for through people coming into the country with exchange ideas, they went through a natural developmental stage. I'm saying that Africans have a right to go through that natural developmental stage as well, without it being interrupted. Giving me the fish is not gonna help me learn how to fish. You could show me a better way in showing me how to fish, so I could go out and do it for myself. But I don't need you. Don't put dollars in my pocket. Let me figure it out for myself and become a great nation, just as you have gone through the natural phases and progression and development. That's what I'm saying. That's all what I'm saying. And for people to really think that the people in the third world don't know nothing, but many people in the third world sit in the same what do you call it? High universities as the people from the first world countries. They just went back to their countries. So the only problem is either through financial means and resources, they can't buy the materials that's needed and necessary. I could see that would be a great help. That would be a great assistance. But to have this fundamental belief that the people in the third world don't know better, or they can't do better for themselves, I don't know. I think that there needs to be more communication and back and forth, because you all will find something completely different. Completely different. From
But
what
Juan,
is
let
being
me ask you.
believed.
Juan,
That savior nonsense. I don't like that bullshit. I don't like it.
Let me ask you a question. Bawana. So why couldn't 98% of sharecroppers read?
Because they was
Just a
not
simple
allowed.
answer.
They was
You ain't
not
got to just. I
because
just
they
want
was
to
not
see.
allowed to read. Because they was not allowed to.
Okay, so wait a minute. You just gave the answer in what Trigger Happy said in the thing about Mugabe. What I said was Mugabe was asking people to learn how to farm, period, because they were not allowed to farm. I don't know about Tanzania. Nobody said that the people are dumb or stupid stupid, but they may be ignorant to certain things because of the oppression. They were not allowed to do it. So
Brother
if
Bakari,
they were not allowed to do it, nobody is calling them stupid. Nobody is calling them dumb. But that technology, that part was taken out of their brain. So we're going to just keep you right here. So anything that people want to do in this world today, regardless of what these crazy socialists say, it takes money. So
yeah,
to
I agree. I agree with that. I agree with that. Brother Bakari, I agree with the thing. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
no, what I'm trying to show you is when we saying we acting like they're dumb. No, I'm not acting like they're dumb or stupid. What I'm doing is I understand what has happened. I understand the oppression that black people has gone through throughout this world. So that's why I use the example that was been close to you. Why didn't 98% of sharecroppers, as the old people used to say, because I knew a lot, couldn't read, write, or count because they were not allowed to learn. So if they weren't allowed to learn to read, write, and count here, because how that would help them advance, and in Zimbabwe, they were not allowed to continue to farm. We won't let you farm. You don't know how to do nothing. Can't even operate the equipment. So they don't know how because they took it away from them. Maybe plumbing or whatever in Tanzania have been taken away from them. And that's the point. That's the only point that I'm making.
Bakari.
My
So
my
hold
good.
on, Juan, before you start.
Go ahead.
Nobody called these people dumb. Who called them that?
I didn't say you
Nobody,
did.
nobody said that they're dumb. I don't think that anybody said that these people were dumb. Juan, I don't know if anybody on here is watches Star Trek or anything like that. But I think what Juan is talking about is what they call the prime directive, right? Where you can't interfere with the normal development of a society. So in the show, you can't interfere with, you're supposed to let them develop naturally. Okay. Is that kind of what you're saying, Buana? Just let them
Absolutely,
develop. Okay.
absolutely,
All right.
absolutely.
Okay. So
That's not
Buana,
really, but go ahead.
Buana, I don't know if you're a Trekkie or whatnot, but you following the prime directive. What me myself, I don't. These are African people. These are our people, and their development has been hindered. So it's not like they've been developed on their natural course, and we're giving them a boost up. These people who have been hindered in their development. So what we're doing is that we're bringing them up to speed. So I don't think this is near a situation where we're violating the prime directive, Captain Kirk. I think we're okay with that. We can continue helping people out.
Let me first let me
So
respond to that.
what
Let me
Bawana said was, I never said Bawana said that. He said people in the West going to act like he used those words that I used. He didn't say that they were. But what I'm saying, even the usage of those words, what I was saying was, they're not dumb or stupid. They're just ignorant to it because of the oppression. And if we don't understand the oppression that black people has been under all around this world, we really don't understand anything. That's my point. That's my
Brother
only point.
Bakari,
I don't know about Tanzania, but I'm just saying.
Brother Bakari, my good brethren, just hear me out, hear me out, hear me out. When I was in the UK, I lived with people from Zimbabwe. I lived with the Shonas, call them Shona people, or in the Belly, right? They was renting an apartment. I live amongst them. I know there was young brothers. They used to be in their country. They used to be animal husbandry. I mean, working with cows and goats and things like that. Used to slaughter them and do all that business or whatever, right? Now they learn that from their people. They learn it through the process of their elders and eldership and things of that nature. What I'm saying is that with the commercial farming that happens globally, when you talk about having being able to use the tools correctly, like industrial kind of tools and tractor trailers and things like that, they may not fundamentally been know how to do it on that level. So they do need to be taught commercial farming if they want to go that in that direction, which is the way the world going in that direction, commercial farming. But as far as subsistence farming, you know, with the machete, with typical machete and the shovel and the typical tools that a man would have to use for his own small little areas and things like that. They've been doing practicing these kinds of farming techniques for hundreds of years. They know how to do that. They didn't need people to come and teach them how to do that. That was understood. In terms of people in the Western world, in terms of the farmers, the African American farmers, was they illiterate? Absolutely. But that don't. I think that the problem comes in where they just was scientifically the scientific farming that was introduced into the West, they wasn't aware of. They understood how to farm land on from the agricultural slavery kind of situations, but not on a necessarily on a scientific level. I wouldn't consider them to be stupid. They just didn't know. They just didn't know there was the commercial way of doing it is a completely different way of doing it in terms of doing it for your family or doing it for a little small plot of land. So we just talking about two different kinds of things. That's all we doing. We talking about two different kinds of things. I think anyways.
Well, according to Robert Mugabe, because I kept up with that whole situation, they didn't know how to do no damn farming, bruh. That's why I took the land back. Just the whole stories and everything is still all on social media. You can find all these stories about how they didn't know how to do nothing. The only thing that they were allowed to do was pick up stuff with their hand. He wasn't just saying commercial farming. He was saying farming. But you want them to go back to using machetes. And this ain't 100 years ago, 300 years ago. Our
No,
people need to be caught up.
yes,
we,
I
we
agree,
don't,
Brother Bakari. No,
we
I
don't have
agree.
to live.
No,
Why do we think it's
but
okay for our people to live like it's 300 years ago?
no, I agree with no, brother Bakari. I agree with that. If I see Zimbabwe is you have the main city centers like Harare. Harare is the main city center. Like how in America you have New York City. I don't expect them people to eat food like how people eat food from off of the land, like in the like, way in the backwoods Atlanta and shit like that. I don't expect them to hunt for their own food. I don't expect them to go fishing for their own food. I expect them to go to the grocery store. So I understand that perspective of commercial farming. But when you go outside of the city center, outside of New York City, when you go way in the woods in Atlanta and shit like that, these people are more capable or more inclined and living off of the land. They can go to the sea and eat fish. They can go catch their food and eat their food. That's what I'm talking about. So it's a difference between the commercial kind of farming that's gonna put meat in the grocery stores and then subsistence farming where you can live off of the land and in fact provide food to your family. Two different kinds of things.
All right, good discussion, guys. A lot was said in the chat concerning this topic, so anyone listening to the playback, make sure you actually watch the chat as well. Good discussions. Let's move on though to Shoot the Breeze topic number 2, which I think is somewhat related to this topic. Shoot the Breeze topic number 2 says, see what happens when we stay away from our indigenous ways. Why do we have immediate doubt of our ways of knowing, but have automatic faith in Western ways of knowing? This came with a link that's taken us to Twitter, or X, formerly known as Twitter. There's this tweet here from William Horn. It says, Ghana has lost yet another historic and cultural landmark due to neglect. The ancient mud mosque at Bole has collapsed. Torrential rains are being blamed, but 5 years ago, I visited it and wrote an article documenting visible termite infestations in its rafters. I'm not going to read the old document, but I'll share some of the pictures here. So this is September 2023, Bole Mosque, Upper West Region, Ghana. By the way, the background of this picture looks like some areas I grew up in and around in Nassau, by the way. So here's a 2018 photo of the rafters of the mosque. And you can see there's damage going on here. 2018, this is what the mosque looked like at the time. 2018, these are the rafters, so you can see where there's damage yet again. So that's the end of the pictures. Let me see if this was a thread or not. Yeah, William goes on to say, it seems lessons were not learned from the Larabanga Mosque collapse, which was due to replacing traditional mud plaster with cement. Cement is waterproof and traps moisture in the mud walls, causing wood beams to rot and enticing termites to enter. Bole was using cement plaster. All right. He said when he visited in 2018, the floors had just been covered with modern tiles, but the ceiling rafters were left rotting. It was a waste of money on a shiny surface improvement. So, I saw this on Twitter maybe last week or earlier this week. And the idea, and what was crazy was a Nigerian woman came along and said something along the lines of, and Africans will complain about the shit that the Europeans basically stole and threw in their museums. She said, when it comes to our artifacts, we might as well just give it to the white man to take care of. He'll do a better job. Does anyone here really believe in something like that? But as you see, should be topic number 2. What happens when we stay away from our indigenous ways? Why do we have immediate doubt of our ways of knowing, but have automatic faith in Western ways of knowing? Let me start with Brother Bakari. Brother Bakari, what say you?
I'm not sure if this have anything to do with indigenous ways. I don't know exactly. It's just indigenous ways of building stuff. I don't know. Maybe you stay away. Maybe they stay away from the indigenous ways because the indigenous ways got their ass kicked by the Western ways. I'm just being honest with you. I truly don't know. Like, I think you can learn something from if they're doing something, excuse me, and it's good. You take it and learn it. I think it's cool to learn, but I don't know. I don't know if the as I was watching this shit, using that background, Nassau, man, that looked like my hometown, Glen Island, Mississippi. That looked like Progress Village. But anyway, man, I have no idea. Your indigenous ways was shit. I would say run out of you by fear. So that's why it's easy to accept the conquered. Always accept the conquerors. Always accept the conqueror's way. That's just how it is. Shit, go back. You can throughout history and time. Once they conquer you physically, they conquer you mentally, they conquer you in every way. So if you're a completely conquered people, you tend to follow the conquerors, I guess.
I appreciate that, Bakari. Afro Native World in the chat said to me about this prompt is exactly what Aya Tanzania is working to resolve. Restore faith in indigenous ways of the people in Tanzania. He says that worked instead of the Western ones that were adopted. Real quick, Trigger Happy says, Obadale Cameron's institution, I think, is built by mud. Lots of architecture now seems to have this idea of the superiority of concrete. Trigger Happy 262 Plus says, this is a very important topic, by the way, because we seem to think that our indigenous knowledge systems are incompatible now. We can mold and develop as we add new forms of technology. Black Steel, you heard everything Brother Bakari had to say in the chat. What say you?
So, looking at this situation, this mosque has been around since the 17th century, it looks like. So, I'm wondering, they say it was neglect, but I do know it does require some funds to manage and upkeep these type of historical structures. You know, you have to spray for termites, reinforce the structure. So I'm wondering, just was it so much an issue of will versus skill. Not that they didn't know how to do it, they just didn't want to devote the funds and the time to do that. And this is of course they said this building is a mosque, which is Muslim house of worship, but it was made in a traditional African style of architecture. So I think that I'm wondering if maybe it was just a matter of the people of Ghana did not have the funds to rebuild the structure, or was it just that they just were not interested? It's hard to me to kind of wrap my head around something. You have historical landmarks all over the world, and it does take some level of upkeep and time and things like that to kind of keep these buildings pristine. So I think that saying that did we steer away from our indigenous ways? Yeah, I think so. That's definitely true because in many cases, African people, they're taught to look down on their indigenous ways. And I'm gonna give you an example. Um, I know everybody's familiar. I don't know if you're familiar with the singer Tim's. She's Nigerian, and apparently she made a post about her walking on water, and somebody made the comparison that she looked like Yamaya, the Orisha. And she made it known, no, 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 no. I'm Jesus walking on water. So when someone made an allusion to her looking like something that came from Africa, she felt the need to correct that. And like, no, no, no. I'm a Christian. So many times we look back on what Africa is doing, and we look at it as if it's inferior in a way. So we tend to discard and put aside the way things are done, even though many times what African people did was superior. Not just what African people did, what indigenous people did across the world was superior to what was done by the European. They come in with their knowledge thinking everything is good and everything is okay, but then white people fuck up the shit. I'll give you an example. In Australia, they're having these massive wildfires. Now, for some reason, the people in Australia could live for thousands of years and not have that type of because they lived in connection with the land. They knew where to live and where to grow their crops or whatnot. White people show up 200 years later, the whole goddamn continent's a tinderbox. The same thing in America. The same thing in Africa. We disregard what we were taught, what our history and everything else like that, and like we accept a European worldview. So I don't know what's going to happen with the structure, if it can be rebuilt. Maybe they can reinforce it with something a little bit more sturdy. But I don't think we should get away from what our ancestors learned. And many of us, because we live in diaspora and we don't have really a connection the way we should have. So that involves a little bit of legwork on our parts because we don't have that authentic connection because we did grow up in a white dominated society. So it takes a lot. There's a lot of things we have to unlearn many times when we're on our journeys. So I'll leave it there. I said a lot. I'll let Juan speak. Thank you, Coco.
Thank you, Carl, for that. Trigger Happy 262 Plus said he saw that thing with Thames, by the way. He said that's exactly why he goes hard for African spirituality. Buana, you heard everything everyone had to say and say in the chat. We'll say you to all of it.
Yeah. First, let me say, it's not because you are continental African that what you say is valid to me personally, because I don't have to be in Africa, be born on the continent of Africa to be African minded, nor would I say or even suggest because you was born in Africa on the continent of Africa that you are African minded. So I this whole thing with this Tim's character, this Tim's lady, I think that's the same sister who was singing for King Charles for his installation. I think that's the same sister who was on the platform singing for the installation of King Charles to run the Nigeria territory. So this when people refer to her say you look like Yemiya, walking on water, and she said, "Well, I'm a Christian, or whatever." I already didn't discount her. Words from her is almost like words from Beyonce to me. They mean nothing. They mean absolutely nothing. She just, for me, she just a prima donna out here selling her music for a couple of dollars. You know what I mean? So I dismiss her right off of the bat. Right off of the bat. Nigeria, no. But in terms of this, when we talking about indigenous cultures in Africa, this is a mosque. Is a mosque indigenous to Africa because it was there hundreds and hundreds of years ago? I don't know. I question that because I don't think a mosque is indigenous to Africa at all. No way. I don't think a mosque is indigenous to Africa. That's not indigenous. That's not an indigenous spiritual aspect African culture at all. At all. You know. So what I always say, maybe they should have built with stone because it seems to me like in Egypt, them stone monuments that they built thousands of years ago don't have a problem with the same problem that they have in this particular area. Maybe they should have built with stone. Who knows? You know. But in terms of indigenous culture, maybe they should go the way of Rome because this don't need to be in Africa no more. It's too much Christianity. It's too much Islam in an African continent, and we need to do away with that. So I don't mind it becoming eaten up by termites and rotten mold. You know, so you really coming to me. You shouldn't come to me with this kind of question. But needless to say, I think that with these kinds of questions, maybe you could simplify it because there's maybe some misunderstandings with the questions itself. And I think that maybe if you dumb it down a little bit, I'll be able to understand it better. Maybe, you know. But I would suggest that this is not indigenous African culture. I don't want it, and it don't need to be there. So if it fall down in the sun, I don't mind that. That's not a problem for me. You know, what needs to come out of that is something that is authentically African. You know, because this is not authentically African culture. I don't want it. I don't want it. I'll stop there.
So,
So let me
even
ask
though I'm sorry, even
you.
though the religion of Islam might not be authentically African, I do think that they made this mosque in an African style. So the architectural technique used to build the mosque was African. Um, Even though we may not agree with necessarily their beliefs, and that's fine. But I do think it is a marvel of architecture for a structure made with mud and wood to last for so long. And also, it says in the post about the torrential rains are being blamed for this. So again, I mean, I'm gonna beat this drum till y'all get sick of it. Climate change is real, y'all. So who said? And I know that it wasn't just the rains, but I think the rains, in addition to the termite damage, was the final nail in the coffin for this structure. So we just gotta be aware. I'll leave it there.
Hey, so let me ask, right? So not ask, I'm just like we always say African spiritual systems, right? And I watched this documentary on Queen Amina from Nigeria, right? They were going to war. They were literally going out praying and thought their praying to their African gods was going to stop bullets from killing them. Of course, we know that didn't work. So, which African spiritual system? I believe this is just my take. I think we concern ourselves too much with spiritual when it comes to whatever kind of what and not focus on the physical. I'm not saying don't use an African spiritual system, but what I'm saying which one? Because that one Queen Amina them was using. I don't want to use that one because I ain't gonna pray to nobody and say I have prayed to Ogun or whoever, and it's gonna make me so tough where a bullet ain't gonna pierce my skin. Let's go to war with guns. They got guns, but we can use spears and knives. I ain't gonna use that spiritual system right there. So which spiritual system? I'm just saying. And when I say this, it offends people. But I'm asking a question, and I'm serious. See, when we talk about spiritual system, and the reason I mentioned like Queen Amina, and when I'm watching that documentary and that movie, only thing we did, believe it or not, we just replaced an African god because we believe the same way with the name Jesus. When I saw people praying that a bullet don't pierce their skin, yeah, we forgot about the name of those African gods, but we pray like the same way. Let's pray and hope a bullet don't pierce our skin. Let's get on our knees and pray that these people don't come set this thing on fire. And neither one of it worked. So I'm just asking.
Brother
With
Bakari, Brother Bakari, keep your powder dry. I build into something, and I waiting for Koku to bring up the prompt, but I build into something. It's intentional. Just keep your powder dry. Hold your powder for a minute. Keep it dry for a
Let me
minute.
let me ask this, Bakari. How is that any different than what's being done with Christianity? There's people right now who are dancing with snakes because they believe that if they get bit by serpents, they won't die. So to me, if I'm gonna say this, I'm keep it real. If you're gonna worship any God, it better be a God who looks like you. Because as we're gonna see later on, that the anti-blackness is so embedded within the Judeo-Christian religions that it'll drive you crazy. So I definitely
but Black Steel, that's what I just said though. I said all they did was replace that with the name Jesus. I was just talking about black folks. I ain't talking about them crazy white folks. I hope all of them dance with a rattlesnake and get bit. In all honesty, I hope all the Indians get bit by the Cobras, the East Indians, whatever them damn Indians on the reservation here. That ain't none of my business, right? But what I am saying is that's why I said they replaced, because we forgot the name of the African gods. But what I'm saying is we do it the same way. And what I was saying, so praying to any god, going to war is the point that I made, and people like to skip that point. If you pray to a god that my prayer is going to protect me from a bullet, that's a spiritual system. I don't care whose it is or what the god is named. That's a spiritual system I don't want, because I know that ain't gonna happen. I
that's
know
true, but that's a bit of an extreme example, though. Because I mean that's a bit extreme. Because let's be honest. Before you go to war with anybody, you got to have the right ideology. And if you don't have an ideology, then you can be. If you're not centered internally, then you're not going to be able to overcome. What African people have always been, because we don't have the ideology, because we lost our culture. So we have black people going all over the world asking for forgiveness, asking for redemption from sin, but we're not minded because we lost that connection. And I understand what Trigger Happy trying to say is that we've lost that connection to our roots. And as long as we're without that connection, even though you necessarily got to be, believing in bullets come bounce off of you, but the first weapon that the European always comes with is their missionaries first. They come with the missionaries because they need to separate you from your African culture, your spirituality. That's the first thing they do. So now that we know that weapon is being used against us, okay, yeah, we know that it's not going to block bullets, but what can it do? Let's focus on what it can do versus on what it can't do. I'll leave it there.
So let me ask a question, right? Because I know we focus on the spiritual. I focus more on the physical. I'm just being honest with you, and I ain't telling nobody else what to do but me personally. There wasn't no spirit that kneeled on George Floyd's neck. There wasn't no spirit that shot up in the lady in a house in Kentucky. There wasn't no spirits that's been lynching and raping and robbing. There was not a spirit that put our ancestors on the bottom of a ship. That shit was done physically. I ain't saying don't be spiritual if that's what you are, but I also think we need to start operating in the physical realm, because that was physical what happened in Buffalo. That was physical what happened in that church in South Carolina. That was physical what happened to that dude down there in Mississippi. You understand? That was physical what them Italians did in Brooklyn, New York, back in the late 80s, early 90s. All that was physical. We operate in the spiritual. But I ain't never seen none of these spirits really do nothing to nobody unless you using your spirit to make you go to war.
Let me say this, Bakari. In every situation that you just mentioned, what happened afterwards? Those black people who were survivors of these attacks, they forgave these white people. I'm a Christian, so I must forgive, right? So whenever these, what happened in Buffalo, what happened in Charleston, black people was knocking down their doors to forgive these murderous crackers.
They
Okay.
didn't forgive in Buffalo like that.
There's plenty of, now I saw the video. There was plenty of old black women praying and saying they forgave these people for killing their family. What's the one cracker? The one who went to the church. They was forgiving him before he got sentenced. Oh, we forgive them because we're Christians. We forgive them because we Christian. We forgive. So the spirituality has set black people up to seek justice in the hereafter. So to your point, you're right, because these things are happening in the material world, but maybe we need something more in the spirit to help us get on track where we can understand that we are at war and stop forgiving the people who don't even ask for forgiveness in the first place.
Okay, so I got an idea. So all the people that need their spirits to get right so they can be prepared to fight, when y'all get y'all spirit right, give me a call. I don't need that. I already see my spirit already told me that what we supposed to do. And dude, Cam J, I verse put, I don't know how I said it. I might have said it right, said it wrong. We put everything on Christians, but those wouldn't just Christians, atheists, they ain't doing nothing for the most part. Muslims, it's black people. And all of these black people, even the atheists, all of them gonna talk about some spirit or something that they believe and don't believe, instead of understanding maybe I need to look at me because it's some physical stuff that's happening to my people that the spirits ain't coming down and stopping. And me personally, this is me, and I ain't trying to offend nobody. When I hear people constantly talk about the spirit gonna make them fight, or they need the spirit, I think those people really don't want to fight. I'm just being honest. Because if they're waiting on the right spirit in every black person to get on some type of African spiritual system, that ain't gonna happen. That is really truly not gonna happen. I'm just being honest.
It's gonna happen. But again, to my point, I believe that when we accept a Eurocentric, and I'm gonna say Judeo-Christian, and that includes when we accept these type of belief systems, it already primes us to be susceptible to the types of violence you're talking about, because it teaches us meekness, it teaches us to forgive, it teaches our rewards are in the hereafter. What they say in the Bible, store not up your treasures, your treasures are stored in heaven. So I believe that when we follow these religious beliefs, it almost sets us up to be taken advantage of. So if we and somebody in the chat mentioned Bookman, who was a Jamaican who came to Haiti, started off the revolution. And Bookman, he believed in African spiritual system, but he also understood that it was going to take blood and steel to organize and to win their freedom. So I don't think the two are necessarily mutually exclusive, but I will say that adherence to Judeo-Christian beliefs makes us docile, and I believe that's been the way for too long.
So I'm gonna ask a question right quick, then I'm gonna stop. Right? Do y'all believe Jesus real? That's yes or no. Or you ain't got the answer.
Yes, I do.
Y'all ain't got.
I believe. Okay. I believe that there was a historical Jesus. There was a person who existed. However, I don't believe that all the other stuff about him turning water to wine and whatnot. So I believe Jesus is more of like a historical legend, like Robin Hood or King Arthur. This person may have existed, but the legends and the stories that have built up around this person over the years for so long, they don't have any basis in reality.
So watch this out. So for people who don't know anything about Jesus, or say Jesus is black, right? So now you ain't worshiping someone that look like a European because you have made him black, and you find a lot of Christians that make him African. And somebody put in the chat, militant resistance at this point is foolish. So I guess I'm being a fool. But what I'm saying is, it don't make a difference what spiritual system you have. It don't make a damn difference. Man, if you ain't ready to stop people from kneeling on your neck for 11 seconds while you a grown man calling mom And I ain't saying that to be funny. And if you ain't willing to stop people from walking up in your church to shoot you, walking up in a grocery store, killing that, and they go walking up in the Family Dollar, catching one person cutting heads off. If we ain't willing to do what it takes to stop that, I really don't want. I don't care about what spiritual system they got. I'm being honest. It can be African. It can, like you say, indigenous. I don't care what they want to be or how they gonna be. It don't make a difference if we ain't ready to stop people from killing us. It don't make a difference what spiritual system you got. You just gonna be a dead. We'll just be an oppressed, humiliated people with an African spiritual system. That's my point.
So Brother Bakari asked the question if we believe in a person called Jesus. I know a bunch of people in the Dominican Republic, they call it Jesus. In Mexico, they call him Jesus too, you know. But as far as the Jesus, when he say Mary didn't have she didn't have no male interaction or male sex to bring forth a baby. No human being exists on this planet Earth. None. Where you say that a spirit impregnated her, and then she had a human child. Not that ain't never happening ever. You know what I mean? That's fantasy. That's what I believe. So when if you talking in terms of Jesus in that regards, Jesus come to this planet Earth without no human interaction, brother. That is fantasy. The only Jesus or Jesus I know about is in Mexico, and they had a daddy. Somebody sleep with their mother and had sex with her, and then shoot his sperm off into the woman, and then they create a child, and then they name it Jesus or Jesus. As when they anglicize it, they name it Jesus or Jesus in the Spanish way. That's the only Jesus I know about. But as far as this character who used to walk on water and he never and his mother ain't never sleep with no man, that ain't never exist in human history, brother. That's fantasy.
Agreed.
All right, sorry about that. I got interrupted here. What I'll do is let me go to Shoot the Breeze topic number 3. And while actually, is this a video? Let me see. No, it's a tweet. It seems. Let me see if it's a video. This is from Scott Barber. The caption says, "I'm not trying to justify slavery, but I'm going to try to justify slavery." So it's a short video. We'll watch it twice.
Understand, not justifying the slavery in the situation, but God, I still believe, used it. And now I'm sure there's a lot of Africans that got the gospel and they're in heaven right now because they got the gospel. You know, what would be better for them to have lived their entire life in Africa free, doing their voodoo or whatever, and then dying and going to hell, right? Or what happened? And then they go to heaven. They get the opportunity. Now, again, it doesn't justify it. The ends do not justify the means, but this is how God works. This is what God does in the Bible. And we have black people in here. I don't think any of you guys were ever slaves. I was never a slave. It's like, white privilege. You were never a slave. You were never living during the time, unless you're very old, like 60 or 70 maybe, or 80 years old. You're never even living during the time where segregation was a thing in this country. I mean, what are you crying about? Nothing even happened to you. You're just making up stuff. You can't look at the facts that I was reading and just attribute that to some kind of white privilege. It's not real. Get over it. Quit having all the excuses. Why don't you take some responsibility for your choices? Be content with whatever situation you were born into and make the most of it. God's not limited to your situation. He can do above, what we ask or think. I'm sure there's a lot of Africans that were brought over into slavery, which wasn't right, but they got the gospel when they got here. And you know what? I bet you there's a lot of Africans that if they hadn't have been brought over, not saying it was right, Don't misunderstand. Not justifying the slavery in the situation, but God, I still believe, used it. And now I'm sure there's a lot of Africans that got the gospel, and they're in heaven right now because they got the gospel. You know, what would be better for them to have lived their entire life in Africa free, doing their voodoo or whatever, and then dying and going to hell, right? Or what happened? And then they go to heaven. They get the opportunity. Now, again, it doesn't justify it. The ends do not justify the means, but this is how God works. This is what God does in the Bible. And we have black people in here. I don't think any of you guys were ever slaves. I was never a slave. It's like, white privilege. You were never a slave. You were never living during the time, unless you're very old, like 60 or 70 maybe, or 80 years old. You're never even living during the time where segregation was a thing in this country. I mean, what are you crying about? Nothing even happened to you. You're just making up stuff. You can't look at the facts that I was reading and just attribute that to some kind of white privilege. It's not real. Get over it. Quit having all the excuses. Why don't you take some responsibility for your choices? Be content with whatever situation you were born into and make the most of it. God's not limited to your situation. He can do above, what we ask or think.
Yeah, I got to agree with Black Steel in the chat. I see Trigger Happy said, this white pastor doesn't sound too different to black atheists in the conclusion. I don't know. Like Black Steel said, never heard an atheist express something like this, but I've heard plenty of Christians say something like this. So yeah, I don't know what Trigger, that conclusion Trigger is coming to there. But in any event, Shoot the Breeze topic number 3 tonight is someone help me understand why so many black people still cling to the religion of their oppressor. By the way, if you're new here tonight, pinned to the top of the chat is the link. I see Cam Diverse out in the chat. Click the link and join the panel and have your thoughts heard as well on these topics. Anyone can join. Anyone who's black anyway can join. Let me mix it up a little bit. Buana, try to help this person understand. What say you?
I don't know why people still people still cling to the religions that they was taught by their oppressor, because it is something that is institutionalized in their mind. We black people in the West have been sitting in the classroom of so-called white supremacy. I call it white indoctrination and propaganda for 400 years. And in that classroom, we have been told that Jesus, this white guy who looked like a hippie, is God. The black man is a monkey. And when they found the black man in Africa, they found him with a bone in his nose. And, God bless slave traders, because they brought the uncivilized African from the continent of Africa to America, where he could be properly civilized. So he's been in our classroom for 400 years, being indoctrinated with that kind of mindset. So of course they would cling to that. But the world is gradually changing. And with the so-called information age that we are currently living in, more information is being put out there as to the other side of the argument. The other side of the argument, where there was a time when only the conquerors was being able to weave narratives. Well, now the people who they conquered are able to weave some narratives now. Now they're able to tell and express their stories. And unfortunately for the conquerors, the people are listening to different kinds of stories. And they're understanding that, well, we have been put in a situation where we've been propagandized and the world is a bluff. The world is built on bluff. So now we must do away with the fanciful notions that we have been told for different kinds of reasons. Because they've been to Africa and they say, close your eyes and pray. Everybody close their eyes and pray. And when they open their eyes, they had all the land, all the conquerors had all the land, and we just had this Bible, this book. And we hold on to this book while they hold on to the land, and they use it exclusively for themselves. But the die has been cast now. The die has been cast for many intelligent people, for many informed people. And this internet is giving many, many people access to sing a different kind of a story to the rest of the world. So for some black people who will cling on to that, they will die holding on to that. But other people, we gonna let go of that fantasy, and we gonna realize that we are in a competition, and we have a right to all of the resources on this planet, just as everyone else is. And if we have to fight for these resources to live, to create a heaven for ourselves, that's just be something we have to do. But as far as this whole idea of we having a better life or better living after we die, this is something that our grandmothers hold to themselves, hold it close to their chest, and they die without ever having experienced some level of heaven on this planet. But we are fighting currently for this planet. We are fighting on this planet right now while we exist on this planet materially to build a heaven for ourselves. So, for the people who want to cling and hold on to that, let them hold on to that. But for us, we living in a real material world, and we're going to let go of that fantasy, and we're going to build a heaven for ourselves. Even if we have to compete with these gangsters. This guy called, and like I say, say voodoo is he say voodoo, you practice voodoo and go to hell. Now I can have intellectual arguments with my brothers internally when we talk about African religions and stuff, but when the outside world demonize African religion, that's when I get into it. You could talk about, we as brothers, we could talk among each other, we could criticize each other, but when outsiders start criticizing us, that's when I get into it and say, no, you stop right there. You ain't gonna criticize the religions my brothers them will hold on to. The African religions they will hold on to. I may not practice it, but that's something you ain't gotta bother with. Don't demonize that. Go worry about your white Mary and Jesus and Italy and Rome and all that business. Don't bother with my African spirituality. If my brothers them want to practice voodoo and Ifa and all the other religions, that's their right to do so. And I'll protect them on that front when the outside world want to come in, because everyone else does that. So that's where I stand on that. But I'll stop there because I'm ranting. I'll stop.
That's all good. I appreciate that, Buana. Let me hear from Brother Bakari. Brother Bakari, what say you?
May why God bless you, Coco. Look, I'm a simple person, so I keep it simple. Like I said earlier, the conqueror make the rules, the conquered follow. The oppressor is Christian, so therefore the oppressed is gonna follow. It's simple. It's plain. It's plain and simple. The same reason you'll see a lot of them with what's it called? Islam. A lot of them. And that's just it. The reason we follow their ways is almost like asking, why do we still speak their language? Because it was the conqueror made the rule and the conquered followed. Everything that you knew about you, they did all of that to strip away from you. Now there's some stuff that's still the way we eat. When we eat food with our hands, collard greens and cornbread. Look at our people on the continent. Some of that stuff we kept, but we didn't know exactly where it came from until we got older. So they stripped you. They took everything from you. Because everybody keeps saying a Christian. I have heard a Christian say they'll rather be, thank God for slavery, because if it wasn't for slavery, they'll be in Africa worshiping a tree. I heard one Christian say that, a Christian preacher. But everything that's in when he put in the chat that it sounds like an atheist. It does, because that Christian, that white Christian, has invalidated everything about an African system. And if you listen to atheists, they invalidate everything as an African system because it's not scientific. And that's what, but Trigger Happy 262 who put that, he is absolutely correct. I hear him say it all of the time. So when they said that white Christian sounds no different than a black atheist, for the most part, he's telling the truth. Because it would be black Christians that ain't gonna say that crazy stuff that some Christians say. That's why I say some Christians, I try not to group people together like that. But just to get close out, they cling to this religion because the conquerors make the rule and the conquered follow. On that, I get him.
I appreciate that, Bakari. A lot of comments in the chat. Kanjaverse is saying Western science is destroying the environment, and African science, that is impossible. Trigger Happy says only Western science can accelerate the destruction of the planet through climate change and things like Agent Orange. So good discussion. That was just a snippet of what all has been going on in the chat so far. But again, if you're listening to the playback, or if you're listening to the show and not watching your screen, pay attention to the chat. I don't know, my computer's acting very laggy right now. Pay attention to the chat. Very interesting conversations. With that said, let's hear from Black Steel on it. Black Steel, what say you?
So, so he mentioned about some black people in the audience when he was saying that. I don't know how you could be a black person with any level of self-respect and not walk out at that exact moment. But hey, this is what when you follow Judeo-Christian and European beliefs, they teach you to hate yourself. He was talking a lot of nonsense. Truth be told, he's really sounding like a lot of these right-winger evangelical Republican Christians in the U.S. Like, you didn't experience slavery, you didn't experience segregation. Shut up. What you complaining for? And he ignores, first of all, my mother experienced segregation. So it wasn't like it was 100 years ago. My grandmother grew up during Jim Crow. So it wasn't like something that was such in the distant past. No. We're talking about our parents. My father was one of the first classes to go to a integrated high school here in the U.S. So that noise that he's talking about, oh, is a long time ago. It doesn't really affect you. So, that's some of the bullshit I like to say, is that we're dealing with some ancient history, and we're really not. Another thing he said is that, stop complaining. These people want you to suffer in silence. They don't mind doing the shit, but they got a problem with you saying something. This is not me endorsing the Black Lives Matter organization. They're crooks. But just when the slogan itself became popular, how angry that made them, how they felt the need to respond and diminish that statement. Oh, blue lives matter, all lives matter. Every type of bullshit they could say to diminish a simple statement that acknowledges our history. Just the way they reacted to the whole critical race theory and all the other anything, the 1619 project, they really want to make it seem like, oh, we're just complaining. It happened a long time ago. Why can't you get over it? Why can't you just do better? And look at the Lord Jesus, a heal exception, all the other bullshit that this dude was talking. That's a pretty common thing. Get out of my face, dog. That's a pretty common thing that these white folks like to talk about. But I think he put it all under the guise of Christianity. Now, like I said, I've never met an atheist who said that black people benefited from being captured in slavery. Atheists don't believe in any type of deity, but I've never heard them say, you know what? We're better off now than we would be in slavery. Because if we had been in slavery, we would have no knowledge of the Lord Jesus. You're not going to hear atheists really say that. You're going to hear maybe atheists benefit and talk about as far as, some sort of scientific benefit. They're not going to say, oh, slavery was a good thing because now we have a knowledge of Christ. Now we're not going to hell. They were free, but they went to hell. And this sort of thinking is what kind of drove me away from Christianity. How you condemn somebody to eternal torment because they never heard of you. So in his mind, an African could go to hell because they didn't have any knowledge of Jesus. And that's totally okay. That's totally fine. If you didn't hear about Jesus and you live your life, it don't matter. You're going to hell anyway. That is, to me, that's kind of what drove me away from the religion. The idea that this God of yours is truly a narcissistic bully. And when you really look at it from outside looking in, like, you realize it's all bullshit. So I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Black Seal, did you happen to catch Trigger Happy 262's comment on last week's episode?
I did. It was a lot. I did read it. Yeah, I did. Mm-hmm.
All right. No. Just was checking because I tried to tag you, but I wasn't sure if it was you that was tagged. Does anyone want to add any last thoughts on this prompt? Because if not, we'll go to Shoot the Breeze subject number 4 tonight, which stays on the subject of spirituality / religion. We're going to listen to Baba Amos Wilson on this one. This came with a link. We share the screen. So, Should have Breeze topic number 4 tonight says, on the question of African culture and spirituality, a rational response. Let's see what Dr. Wilson has to say about it.
Understand that theoretically what is going on, and then we have to put some real practical meat and bones on the theoretical framework. I'm going to talk a bit about culture here because I found it instructive sometimes to look at things in very basic ways. You see, we talk about racism and often we don't bother to define it. We talk about imperialism, we don't look at it in enough detail sometimes to really deal with it concretely. We talk about culture as well, African culture, and yet we really we haven't, as far as I've seen, analyzed that concept very deeply. I'm not going to analyze it today, but we have not analyzed it as well as we should. What do we mean by that? Whose culture are we referring to? You know, when we say that word, are we trying to reintroduce Egyptian culture in America today? This is not Egypt. This is not 5,000 BC, 3,000 BC, or any other BC. This is not sub-Saharan Africa either. Now, what am I saying about that? Africa and our history and our African cultures are tremendously rich and have great deals to offer us. And we all feed from those cultures. But to a great extent, I think we are facing the reality that we have to synthesize all the goods in those cultures and create a new one. Even the cultures that you call traditional, if you really know the history of those cultures, are cultures that have evolved over time. They're not fixed at year one and have stayed at year one. And therefore now you figure if you recapture it, you've recaptured the essence of African culture, and this is what you're going to recapture, and this is where you're going to stay in the midst of this whole changing world. Even those cultures that we call ancient did what? Evolved and moved over time. So there's no reason for us today to believe that we have to stay stuck in time. We use and we take and we maintain the essence of those cultures, the central identity that those cultures provide us, the lessons that those cultures have taught us, and we conquer new ground. And we Africanize new territory. And it is the whole world that we can claim for Africa. The world that has gone in the past, and we want to, but the world to come. We are a two-sided people in the sense that we have two sides to our brains. African thought is not circular only. Europeans have no claim over linear thinking. And to be an African person does not mean that you have to be anti-linear in your thought processes. God gave you two sides of a brain here. One side is intuitive, holistic, spiritual, and so forth in its approach to the world. And the other side is analytical, critical, abstract, logical, objective in its approach to the world. The brain has a set of nerves that attaches both sides of the brain that we call the corpus callosum, plus a number of other connections, the anterior commissure, the posterior commissure, which means that these sides of the brain were meant to do what? Communicate one with the other and to complement each other. That the human being is not meant to stay totally in one side of the brain and say, this side is the African side, I will ignore the other side. We can't do that, ladies and gentlemen. Anyone who studied deeply science, how science actually operates, has recognized that science operates based on intuition. Don't confuse the reading of scientific papers with how people come to arrive at scientific ideas. You see, often when you write the paper, you can say, well, you know, I was laying up in my bed one night and suddenly this dream came to me and it all came together. And well, you don't hear that part in it, but that happens, doesn't it? It happens all the time. All right.
All right. That's Dr. Amos Wilson. Trigger Happy 262 Plus in the chat says, LOL, if you notice, Amos Wilson is making a strong argument that African culture developed. This is something that the venerators of E.B. Tyler would say differently, that our culture is stagnation. He says, you hear the word complementarity, LOL. With that said, let me start with Brother Bakari on this one. On the question of African culture and spirituality, a rational response. What did you hear that stood out to you?
I heard Dr. Amos Wilson say a whole lot of stuff that I said. Now that he said it, Carl and Bawana will agree. We can't live like we lived in Egypt. Like I said, we can't live 1,000 years ago. We got to live today. You got to be able to, niggas, you have to be able to develop. But like I say, man, I'm a simple person. There's a lot of stuff people talk about. Any of that stuff we use, like he said, develop. So if you're going to use this stuff, are we going to use this stuff? We're going to use, I ain't going to say this stuff because I ain't being disrespectful to any African spirituality because I even study voodoo. I don't follow it, but I do study. But is it going to help us build communities? Is it going to help us take care of ourselves? Is it going to stop us from hating ourselves? Is any of this stuff going to change our condition in which the way we live today? Or is it something that a lot of people want to use that I've noticed that I see some people, especially a lot of the extra African conscious people, it's just something for them to hang their hat on. I know this and you don't. I know this and you don't about Africa. Are we using it to build some, or is it something good to say? But hey, I agree. Like you said, we can't go back 1,000 years and live. We have to be able to compete today. We can't be okay with staying behind. And I understand that Trigger Happy, but I'm talking about when everybody's talking about spirituality and all this, everything that they're talking about. Is it going to help build a community? I build in communities. I lived in these communities. But anyway, the point that we can't live like that. Is anything we can going to help us live, help us respect one another, help us work together, or because a lot of things that we complain about other people do. I ain't gonna say nothing because Koku said he was gonna say something. I'm gonna pull that prompt up later, so I'm gonna save it. But anyway, a lot of things that we complain about other people do, if we ever listen to the things that we say about Black people, we're really truly no different. because we're all caught up in this system, regardless of how you want to fight it. So on that note, I give the mic. Sankofa remembrance trigger happy. I could be wrong. You can tell me. I give the mic.
Yeah, thank you for that, Bakari. That prompt that you mentioned last night on 4Kast channel, we're gonna discuss it. I think that's the last prompt tonight. By the way, again, if you guys want to join the panel, the link is pinned to the top of the chat. By all means, join. Or if you don't, have some conversations in the chat. Those comments are welcome. Let me go to Black Steel. Black Steel, what say you?
Well, I'm familiar with this video. I think I seen it a while ago, but I think that what Dr. Wilson is referring to is just that sometimes, especially here in the U.S., we tend to romanticize our history and our spirituality. So everybody will be out here rocking these big ankhs, wearing the kufi hats and dashiki and the kente cloth. But if that's all you're doing with it, then it's just what is it like when you go to the comic book conventions? Cosplay. You have to have an ideology to go along with that belief. So I do understand kind of what Dr. Wilson is saying. It can't just be the aesthetic of it. It has to be more deeper than that. It can't just be about just feeling good. And something else he said, if it's just meant to make you feel good, that you're gonna die feeling good. It has to be to more than that. So I think what he's understanding, and basically what Trigger Happy is saying is just an idea of Sankofa. You go back and you get it. You don't go back and stay there, but you go back, get what you need, bring it forward, and then you build with that. So I think what he's really saying is that we have to create, even though it's African, but it has to be a new well, not so much new, but it just has to kind of build upon those building blocks that we had in the past. So I'll leave it there. Thanks, Kofi.
Thank you for that, Black Steel. Buana, you've heard everything everyone else said, and you see the chat. What's on Kofa to you, and what say you to the chat? I'm sorry, to the prompts in general.
Okay, so let me do it like this. So the initial question was asked in terms of African spirituality. There was a long diatribe that Trigger Happy was asking the panel, and Koku asked, me and Black Steel what our thoughts in it, because what was suggested is like, well, you could just basically ignore us. You don't have to basically respond to me. You could ignore us. But this is my brother's forum. This is my brother's business. So I want to support his business. So I gave it a thought and I responded to the comments. Now, this was before listening to this actual video itself. This video. And what is a good thing is my comments of the question that was asked is along the lines with this particular video. Because what was the question that was put out there in terms of African spirituality, African culture, or whatever, my comments was, does African culture stagnate? Does it stay in one place, or is there a development? Does it move? Well, what Amos Wilson suggested was African culture should evolve based off of the situation that you are currently in. Shouldn't stay still, because it should have a practical application. And I was suggesting this earlier without even actually watching this video. And it's a good thing that when I was listening to this, I was like, oh, hey, man, this is going on along the lines of how I responded to the question. Maybe the whole panel could benefit from his comments. I don't think African culture is something that is stagnant. I do think African culture develops. I do think it moves, in particular with the African people that African culture or spirituality is with. If I am on a continent of Africa, unencumbered, no one is messing with me, then I gonna practice a traditional form of African culture where I could draw from my ancestors, my grandfathers, my great grandfathers, etc., etc., etc. But if I am dealing with something called the international transatlantic slave trade, that would mean my culture, my traditions have been interrupted. Therefore, I have to make an adjustment, not only to the circumstances I am in, but the environment that I have been introduced to. And it has to have a practical application and effect. I can't go back to when I was on a continent practicing African spirituality or traditions unencumbered. It has to be something that is workable for me now in the Caribbean or in the Americas, that is something that is a benefit to me. If it is not a benefit to me, then I am doing that in vain. Now you say that I sounded like E.B. Taylor. Well, E.B. Taylor never been in an African in my position before. He's never experienced the horrors of transatlantic slave trade. And in the mind of Africans, we are able to think for ourselves, absent of his philosophy and thinking. And it's an insult to say that we sound like E.B. Taylor because our experience, he has never experienced before, ever, ever. So don't put me in the category of that brother, because that white man, I don't know him. You know, we come to our own conclusions, not only in the Caribbean, in Haiti, in the Americas, in Jamaica, etc., etc., etc. So don't dismiss us because we don't practice this purest form of traditional African culture or spirituality, because that history has been interrupted. We had to operate without the assistance of. That means my brothers from the Shanti tribe, my brothers from all the other West African tribes, we had to commingle and exist together. Whether if it was fomented revolution or working together, because we had one common enemy. One common enemy. That's not been the experience of traditionalists or people who have not been interfering on the continent of Africa. So don't judge us, brother. Don't judge us. Don't judge us. We have to have a practical application in the situation and circumstances that we currently reside in. Not some fanciful notion of when we was practicing a traditional form of African spirituality or culture 600, 500, 400 years ago, before the interruption of what has happened to us. This is the issue that I have sometimes with these kinds of conversations. I don't mean to sound like I have a lot of energy right now. Because really, this is an intellectual conversation. So forgive me, brother, because I sound like I have a lot of energy in my voice right now. But it's really, I just wanted to explain our position in the West, because I understand that you are on the continent and there's a different kind of conversation going on in the West. So it's no love lost, no disrespect involved. I just try to explain the nuances that exist between us. That's all I'm trying to do. You know what I mean? With the greatest respect to you. I'll leave it there.
Any other
Bawana, I'm gonna say this, right? Because you're my little brother, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, you just said something then about somebody ain't been through what we've been through. Now you can have that understanding, right? You know, I like to hold a mirror in our face. That's the point I was making in our first prompt. We have to have an understanding what we've been through. So I'm saying this to say, don't get mad if a white person say something. If we say something earlier and sound like the white person, but now that the white person has said is in your lap and it sounds similar to what you said, you understand what I'm saying? That's why I'm not trying to call you out or anything, but what I am saying is now that white person haven't been through, so he don't understand. That's why I say when it comes to certain things with us, dealing with us, we should have an understanding because of what we have gone through. If that makes sense.
No, I hear you, brother. I hear you.
That's all I want us to do is have an understanding. But look, Koku, I'm gonna come back. I got to step off for a second. I'm gonna be listening, but I'm gonna come back on in about 20 minutes, I guess. I'm gonna be listening. I got something to take care of right quick.
All right. Just so you know, we have the next prompt is about the thing that we talked about on 4Kast last night. So
I will wait then. I will wait then.
All right. Is there any other last words or thoughts on this prompt? If not, let's go to Shoot the Breeze topic number 5 tonight. Sorry, Bakari, for holding you up. Sorry about that. This could very well be the last prompt of the night. Shoot the Breeze topic number 5 says woke virtue signaling, ? Jackson State girl kicker Leilani Armenta makes debut versus Bethune-Cookman. This came with 2 links. So let me play the first one quickly. Sorry, Dr. Wilson. First video is short.
I think when you see that, you know how much it means to them and something like that.
And here's the story of the day right there. That is and should kick off and maybe even do some field goals tonight for the Jackson State Tigers. Of course, she was on the Jackson State women's soccer team, and because of injuries this week during practice, she's going to get her shot tonight to be a kicker. And what an impressive young lady has been, and a chance for her. And I'm sure she's pretty nervous at this point, but they have her out there, and SWAC football is underway. And the first kick is short, and it's going to be fielded by the Wildcats, and they'll have great field position after what looked to be a pooch kick, maybe trying to get an onside kick.
Yeah, I think I'd catch him off guard, get it just over that first line. And again, it could have been real trouble for him in a minute.
Quickly about Leilani, of course, Armenta, she's from St. Bonaventure High School in California. She's from Ventura, California, played high school soccer and high school football. So she does have some experience here, and now she's the first woman in Jackson State University history to play in a football game.
So there's that video. For those who didn't know what happened, I just wanted to play that first. This second video is an opinion. We'll listen to
Armenta.
We'll listen to this guy's opinion here about this female kicker who Bakari has called Jackson State White Tigress. You guys can drop a comment about that. So we'll play this opinion piece, and then we'll discuss it here on the panel ourselves.
Jackson State football aren't done making history. My goodness. Look at this, guys. It says before Jackson State and Bethune-Cookman lined up to begin his football game on Saturday, no one noticed Leilani Armenta in the helmet. Yeah, I actually texted Rose about this last night. I was like, how do we miss this? Apparently, it's starting to get out there right now that this actually did happen. But anyway, shoulder pads in the red Jackson State number 35 uniform and a knee brace on her right leg. When the whistle blew, Armenta kicked the ball herself and Jackson State into school history, with the football traveling to the Bethune-Cookman 40-yard line. That's not good. That is not good, guys. That's pretty awful, to tell you the truth. NCAA FCS football social media account relayed the history-making moment. Yeah. So let's go ahead, man, and come on. NCAA FCS, they had the virtue signal too. Making history. I mean, this is an embarrassment, man, to football. They're making a mockery with these stunts of football. They're putting these girls in a position to where, you know, they really don't have to make a play. All it is going to be a virtue signal. But watch this, guys.
Something like that.
And here's the story of the day right there. That is Leilani Armenta. And she's going to play, and she's going to kick off and maybe even do some field goals tonight for the Jackson State Tigers. Of course, she was on the Jackson State women's soccer team, and because of injuries this week during practice, she's going to get her shot tonight to be a kicker. And what an impressive young lady has been, and a chance for her. And I'm sure she's pretty nervous at this point, but they have her out there, and SWAC football is underway. And
wow. That ball got to about the 42-yard line right there. That is awful. That's awful. And I believe she actually did kick it off with her leg. Yeah, she kicked it off with the leg that she just recovering from a ACL tear. But that's pretty bad, guys. These woke stunts need to stop. It needs to stop, man. Look here. This is her mother. I believe her mother is Brandy Armenta said this, quote, "It means so much to us as a family," her mother, Brandy Armenta, said, "to see her make history at Jackson State with a team and a coach who supported it. She loves football, and to see her accomplishment making history was an incredibly moving moment as parents." And this is her right here, man. She looks small compared to all these other players. Jackson State coach T.C. Taylor said he would continue with the players he has and is not looking to bring anybody else in. He noted the Tigers have a bye week this week, which is perfect timing for Armenta, who tore her ACL in 2022, kicking during high school football season at Mount Bonaventure.
Okay, I'll end it there. Also being mindful that Bakari does have to probably step away. In the chat, Black Steel said, just the way the announcer is talking, he's trying not to laugh. Black Steel, what else you got to say about it?
This is fucking hilarious, man. He called it a white tigers. That's hilarious. That's gold, man. Y'all don't see it. I'm sorry, Coco. This is hilarious to me. Oh man, I think I could have kicked that ball farther than she did. But why is it that they gotta integrate sports with a white girl out of anybody on earth? They could have had a sister in there. They could have had a black girl and they had to put a white girl on an HBCU team. And they call her the White Tigers. Oh man, the jokes write themselves. This is hilarious. I know I get the point he's trying to make about virtue signaling and everything else like that, that anything a man could do, a girl could do better. I think this is almost a joke. As a young lady, why are you even on this field? Why are you letting these people play with you like that? Because I feel like they kind of fucking with us to put this child in the field like that. And I when I was in high school, we had a girl on the football team, and she lasted for all the 2 games. I think it was in high school. It wasn't like any NFL, but she didn't last very long. But yeah, it's just I think it's just I don't know what they're trying to signal. I guess they're trying to send a message that anything a man can do, a woman can do. I don't know if that is the idea, but yeah, it's just funny to me. Razuli, you're just saying why should I have a black girl? Because it's HBCU. Because if it's a black university, if you're gonna put I don't think you should put any woman on there. But if you're gonna put a woman on the team, at least put a black woman on the team. You know what I'm saying? If you're gonna do wrong right. Don't just put this snow bunny out there on the team with a bad leg to humiliate herself and you as an organization. I'll leave it there, but this is hilarious. I'm sorry.
So usually I would have, because this post was like largely for Bakari, I would have Bakari go last and quarterback the post. But considering that he does have to step away, I'll let Bakari go next. Bakari, what say you?
No, I just had to kill his ignorance. First of all, the dude they're doing the commentary, he don't know what the hell he's talking about. Carr said it sounded like the guy was trying to laugh. They actually did a pooch kick. Now you say, wow, a white girl is on the team. Jackson State don't call her the White Tigers. I understand opportunity. See, y'all look at a white person, a white girl on the field. I look at a business opportunity. I see how black folks can take advantage of that. Oh, my bad. See, because I'm not completely conquered, and I see how they have taken advantage of black people all these years on the football field. So let's take advantage of that. But y'all don't see an opportunity. Y'all only see a white girl. That's why our minds are different, right? So now I'm going to show you something. The only reason she kicked, because we know, and the only people that has made fun of an HBCU is black people. I keep telling you, if y'all listen to y'all self-talk, y'all sound like white people. Now, I'm going to show you something. Coming out of high school, she had 3 football scholarships to kick field goals, right? So, but the only reason she's on the team, because all of Jackson State kickers are hurt. The one kicker just had to have an emergency surgery on his leg and got a medical red shirt. The other 2 was hurt that week. So they had a trial. Only one person tried out. Guess who it was? The white girl. She was the only person that tried out. No black girls from the soccer team tried out. Only the white girl, right? So they had another trial this week. And this week, more black people tried out. But I would say again, nobody laugh at black people more than black people. And I keep telling y'all, I done told like I told 4Kast last night, and like I'm gonna continue to tell y'all, if y'all listen to what y'all say, y'all, what you're listening to, what y'all sound like white people. It's supposed to be a black school. Why they got a white girl? But you are one of the ones, Carl, who said HBCUs are no good. So the people who say they're no good, why do
Didn't say
they
that. I did not say that. I'd appreciate you not making up stories. I never said that.
Yes, okay. Well, anyway, you had because somebody in your family, we had the conversation on here. But anyway, right? Like I said, I see opportunity where something can be marketed and promoted the way black people has been marketed and promoted and used forever on a damn football field for white people. I see something, and if that white girl leg was healthy, she would have kicked extra points in the game. That's the only time she got on the field was to do that pooch kick, and the only reason she kicked. And if you see the other guy that kicked, shit, she did a pooch kick. She kicked just as far as him. But instead of black people wanting to understand the situation that go on with black people, we have to find the negative. So since people don't know, and you heard his commentary, and you probably gonna read some Twitter stuff and some stuff on Instagram, I'm telling you the only reason she was out there kicking and why there is no black girl kicking, because no black girl tried out when they did the tryouts. Not even a black guy tried out. Only one person tried out. It was the white girl when all of their kickers went down. So the next week they had more people try out. So that's why she's there.
Brother Bakari. See, here's how I look at this. You all say you all see the white girl. Me personally, I see 25 years in prison. I can get the reason why I say that, because you are talking about brothers who on a foot, if they playing real football and they ain't holding back. We are the football, and I ain't a big footballer either, by the way. But them brothers, are trying to knock their opponent's block off. Absent nobody. If they are able to get to the kicker, they'll knock that person's block off. So am I supposed to hold back now because there's a woman on the field, especially a white woman? And now I gotta go to fucking jail because you harm a white girl, you gotta go to jail. That's automatic. So if to practice wood culture, the female boxers say that she want to go in the ring with a male boxer. When Mike Tyson say when he used to fight, he used to imagine knocking his fist through the person's skull to the back of their skull. He actually trying to harm the person. So now, because a white girl in the ring or a black woman in the ring, am I supposed to hold? I ain't really trying to fight to my full potential. Yeah, because if you're in the ring, you could possibly die in the ring. That is a possibility. That is a real serious possibility. My brother, you're not supposed to be in these sports. Because if I have to hold back in consideration of, okay, I can't harm this person or do some serious damage to this person, I'm not really playing to my full potential. I'm holding back. You shouldn't come on the field. Because if I hurt you now I gotta have unless I see a waiver that say if you have signed off to whatever happens on this field, you have taken full and personal responsibility for. I have to see that as the opposing team because I'm knowing that if I harm you, this could be a possible court case, serious court case. And you know what happens when you harm white women in America. You know what happens. I just wouldn't play. I really just wouldn't play, Brother Bakari. Yeah, I just wouldn't play. I wouldn't play.
So listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't care about football, whether it be HBCU, NFL. I'm not a football fan. I'm not a sports fan too much. But Bakari, this is my question to you. Any type of criticism about an HBCU, and you go on the attack, brother, you almost be ready to foam at the mouth. Why do you ride so hard?
Because I got skin in the game. Because I got skin in the game and been to the Supreme Court to make sure they can stay open with my people. And when black folks shit on them, you're shitting on the legacy that I stand with. Now, I just answered your question, and that's absolute fact, everything I just told you. Now, why do y'all...
You went to the Supreme Court, really?
Yes, really, yes. I can tell you the case right now.
Go into detail. Tell me about that. I want to hear that story.
You got Google Ayers case, Mississippi, AYERS case, Mississippi, and you'll see that's all I'm gonna say. But just Google that and you'll see who that is. Now, why is it y'all have to talk shit about black people? I keep telling you, y'all sound like white folk. Why is it y'all have to talk shit about HBCUs all the time? I defend all black people. Y'all say I foam at the mouth when I'm defending black women.
All black people don't. Because all black people need to be defended. That's why. All black people are not on the same side.
Watch this. So which one? But the ones that go to the HBCU should be shitted on all the time by black people. Nobody ever stand up for them. So that's my job.
Nobody's saying that. Nobody's saying that. But see, here you go again with these strawman arguments.
No, you asking me what I'm doing. I'm telling you.
Words in people's mouth will say something nobody ever said, which I never said.
What I said was
to be attacked.
Okay, so watch this. Bawan and Koku, just be honest. How many people have y'all heard defending HBCU? Just be honest.
I hear Brother Bakari. Brother Bakari is a big advocate of HBCU.
How many people have you heard? How many people have you heard defending HBCU?
Nobody. Not a lot. Not a lot of people. If I being honest.
Who is that one? That y'all
Brother Bakari. Brother Bakari's run over HBCUs all day long.
So you asked me, and I told you. So every time y'all shit on it and try to take a dump on an HBCU, I stand with people that put their life on their line, turn down millions of dollars to stay and fight the wretched state of fucking Mississippi to keep from getting turned down millions. To stay and fight white folks who was trying to shut HBCUs down. So when you shit on that, you shitting on my family.
Well, no, but first of all, no one's shitting on them. I mean, to me, this.
I didn't say you just.
So I didn't say. If someone says a criticism against an HBCU, that does not mean they're shitting on them. HBCUs are not a sacred cow to where you can't criticize them. But every time somebody has a minor complaint.
But why you saying now? You say I'm foaming at the mouth defending them. Why you are foaming at the mouth so you can say something negative?
I'm not even foaming the mouth. I'm trying to talk because you won't give me a place to talk, but I'm not doing that. But first of all, I don't believe in defending. If the work stands on itself, you shouldn't have to defend them. If their legacy is as good as you say, then you don't have to defend them. It's going to defend itself.
Yes, you do. So watch this, right? Someone ask you a question. Just be honest. You said it was laughable, and watch this. I'm the only person, even the other people at Jackson State was mad that that white girl was out there. But I think I see an opportunity. I didn't want her out there, but when she went out there and I knew why she was out there, damn, I see an opportunity to get paid off this. That's what I saw, right?
Go deeper. What do you mean? How do you go deeper a little bit? Explain this opportunity to me.
Okay, white girl kicking at HBCU. She make an extra point. You can promote it. Just like later that night, I'm going to show you something. Later that night, a white girl played at a white school. Got on the field on defense. Didn't make a tackle. Just got close to the quarterback. That night and that next day, she was everywhere doing interviews. bring more light and attention to the school. That's what I'm talking about when I say an opportunity. I'm not talking about an opportunity for her. I'm talking about an opportunity to use that the way we have been used to build them up. See, and when we say a critique, like when he was talking and people said, I'm upset by the critique. I'm not upset by the critique like when 4Kast and everybody on that panel. But when you try to tell black people the situation, well, it don't make a difference. They still shouldn't be at no. So who the hell gonna kick the ball? If nobody tried out and all of the kickers was hurt, and she's the only person tried out that ever kicked that knew how to kick, who was gonna kick the ball if they had told her she couldn't?
I mean, I could kick a ball.
And that's what
I could kick a ball.
Huh?
It's not that. It's not.
But you
right.
okay? Do you go to Jackson State? Wait a minute. Do you go to Jackson State? Do you go to Jackson State?
I could hop in the car. It's kicking the ball.
Are you at Jackson State? And that's the ignorance I'm talking about with black people when it comes to certain things. Well, you know,
it's just football. I mean, to me, why it's football. It's a bunch of grown men running
it's
around.
not. See, that's the thing about it. It's not just football. Actually, it's not just football. It's business. It's how people make money, and it's how black people playing this ball, just running around, has made all these white schools filthy rich. That's why we should care. It ain't just the sport. It's everything that go along with the sport. That's everybody else benefit from off the back of black people. That's what I'm talking about. Except black people. Because black people has spoken so negative of any black institution. So the young people today, and we don't think we're talking about black people when we talk about black people at those schools, or we just talking about the schools, which is 98% black. So you are talking about the black people. So that's what I do. I support black people. I'm a defender of black people.
I don't defend all black people. I don't.
See,
all black people don't need to be defended because there are, and you know, let me tell you, this is why we are in the condition I believe we're in, because there are some black people who are traitors. There are some black people who will betray the other black person if it means they can get a couple dollars. So no, I don't defend all black people. Some black people are enemies to our race. I'm not talking about HBCUs being enemies, but to me, I'm just, like I said, you talk about the football bringing money. I don't see this influx of wealth coming into the black community through sports. I mean, I see maybe a couple athletes build a school here and there. They might buy somebody a house. I don't really see black sports or black people playing football doing anything to really change our material conditions. It's just
the black colleges. Because the black students go to white colleges. That's my point. Black universities are in black neighborhoods or out in the country. The reason it's not bringing that influx is because the best black players are going to white schools, building up their stuff. That's what I'm talking about when I'm saying it's economics. It's not just a sport. It's economics. I'm not even talking about the individual making money. I'm talking about the money that I'm gonna give you an example. Deion Sanders, some call him Coach Prime, I call him Coach Slime. In 5 games,
that's pretty good. I like that.
In 5 games this year, check this out, Carl. Check this out. In 5 games this year, and you say I'm foaming at the mouth. Some stuff I be saying, Carl, ain't even got nothing to do with you. It's other conversations I had, and when I'm talking to y'all, sometimes y'all just catch it. So if it sounds like I'm arguing with you, I'm not. It ain't even got nothing to do with you. I just want to tell you
cool.
that.
I understand. This is a topic you're very passionate about, and I respect your passion.
But let me show you something. Just through 5 games, through paraphernalia that black people, I know black people done seen all of a sudden black people walking around with Colorado Buffalo stuff on, right? Deion Sanders has made the Boulder, Colorado through 5 games. What they say, right at between $250 and $300 million. Ain't no black businesses in Boulder, Colorado. So what community is he building and all those athletes building and ain't getting nothing? You see what I'm saying? That's what. Now, when he was at Jackson State, of course they weren't gonna get that much because white people wasn't gonna support Jackson State. But some black, not all black people weren't supporting them. But I sat there and watched. in a season, what he was doing on a weekend in a place that's majority black and what the black businesses was doing, they was getting 5 million. Like people wouldn't buy it. Black people was not buying the Jackson State paraphernalia the way they're buying the Colorado paraphernalia. They say the businesses alone, just the local businesses alone, weekend before last in Boulder, Colorado, made $20 million over a weekend. And that's what I mean when I'm talking about the money. I'm not talking about the money that an individual person is going to make if they go pro. I'm talking about what the school can bring to a community. That's what I'm talking about. How? Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just want to, because he's been waiting a while, I want to bring in Azuliism this week. Azuli, how are you this week?
Yo, I'm good. I don't think this is even a black issue. I think it's worse than that. For people to say this is okay, this is a good thing for the why didn't in other school, even in the NFL, if your last kicker goes down, they might have the quarterback kick it. They might have somebody else kick it. This is another fight that they bring into you. That people who find this is okay are willing to sell their soul just for money to come into the HSBCUs, whatever. First of all, the HBCUs were not even started by black people. Most of the schools were started by Caucasian people because their mulatto children could not attend those Harvey League schools. Those HBCU schools are not even African centered. So my thing with this is I think there's something more sinister to this. This young lady should not be on the field with men. I don't agree with the blending of the sports. Even that should not be happening. So for people to say this, the brother said there was another girl that was starting that tackle. Yeah, that other girl started in the defensive back position and tackled a quarterback. All this shit is fake. What that girl's 5'6", the other girl was 5'6". Which 5'6" girl could tackle a 6'5" man? So some of us are willing to sell their soul because they want it's a money opportunity. This is totally unacceptable, and of course they're gonna use the what? So you mean to tell me they don't have any white boys at that school? They don't have any white boys. So if it was a white boy that kicked the field goal, maybe I could see what Bakari is talking about. Maybe I could see, but why would black? You know why black girls didn't line up to kick that? Because black girls don't want to be men. To kick a football, to play a sport where you could get hurt. Again, so now if a young man had broke free and tackled the shit out of her and broke her other leg, what would we say? I don't understand how we're sitting here and saying this is all. Now this brother is probably gonna say I'm shitting on HBCUs because I don't agree with putting a girl on an all-male team.
I'm the only person that agreed with it. I'm the only person that I know agreed with it. I'm the only one.
Well, if you're the only one, there's something wrong with you, bro. There's no way. What you just did right now, you would blend the team. You would want a woman playing on an all-male team just so it could be more money to a HBCU. This is totally unacceptable. The girl couldn't even kick the ball, bro. And like the brother just said, in NFL, if a holder goes down and there's no more holder, they'll have somebody else that play a different position do it. That's a lie these people are saying. Let me finish. They couldn't find. Let me finish, bro. They couldn't find another kicker. That's a lie. Or they couldn't find. There's like 52 people on the team. They couldn't find another man to kick a punt. I bet you on that team there's a white boy. Why didn't that white boy kick the punt? They got white people who attend HBCUs. Let's stop that. There's something more sinister in this than what we're talking about.
Look, man, let me stop your conspiracies, bro. Because I just told you I keep up with this situation. My son is a junior at Jackson State University. I'm going to say again what I said earlier. Their kickers were hurt. And you don't have to believe it if you don't want to, but the one kicker just hurt his leg and had to have emergency surgery and got a medical.
That's what I'm saying, Bakari.
Wait a minute, I'm finna tell. No, wait a minute. What I'm finna tell you,
Other people on the team that could kick the ball long.
I'm trying to tell you, Azuli, so you can get out of Azuli. I want you to know facts so you can get away from these damn conspiracies that everybody else is spewing. I'm telling you, I'm close to the situation, not on the outside looking in. I'm telling you what I know, so just listen, so it don't be a conspiracy. They had their long snapper ended up being a punter because their kicker got hurt and their punter got hurt in the game the week before. The punter, he kicked the ball 10 yards. When they had a tryout, they tried to get other people to kick. No one on the team would kick. They had a school tryout. The only person tried out at the school was that girl for this week. The next week, tryouts, and in this week, a tryout for the game next week, they had about 15, 20 people come out and say they know how to kick because they want to help the team. But to say that the people wouldn't hurt, they were actually hurt for real, Azuli. And to believe these conspiracies, I'm telling you, so we can stop saying everything is a conspiracy. This was actually not a conspiracy. And the reason she didn't kick again is because she was coming off ACL surgery, and after she kicked the ball, she said when feeling right, they got permission from her parents, everything Bawana was talking about. Can we get this signed? They made sure her parents was okay with it, and they were excited about it. But I'm telling you, this is not a conspiracy, Azuli. I'm just telling you, it's not a conspiracy. So stop going with the conspiracy.
What do you mean? I'm not saying that the kickers wasn't hurt. I'm saying there's other football able-bodied players that could kick the punt.
Okay. I just told you somebody.
Let me finish, bro. So you're gonna put somebody who just had ACL surgery, still wearing brace, to kick a bullshit ball like that?
Okay. I just told you somebody else did kick, and he did the same thing. The part you didn't hear was when I said that she only kicked once, and I told you why she only kicked once. Then I told you the other person kicked. He punted the ball 10 yards. They didn't have a kicker. So instead of just arguing, well, this is what they should have done. No, it's okay sometimes to say, I don't agree with what they did, but somebody told me the situation. Coach Slime would have did what he did, real black gentleman, run and go kiss white folks' ass. But anyway, instead of saying this is what they should have done, I'm telling you what happened. You can say, okay, I don't agree with that. They shouldn't have done it. But Chat, I'm telling you what happened. I'm following the whole situation. I keep telling my son is a junior there. But instead of hearing that, no, I'm telling you what happened. But instead of accepting what happened, we got to come up with a fantastical story. But I'm telling you what happened. And everything
I'm sorry, I want to circle back to something you said earlier about generating money for the black community. So what you're saying is that if black players attended black schools and had a black-owned football program, that would generate money for the community? Is that kind of something you're saying?
Yeah, because they would be winning. Yes, they would be selling.
Let me ask you this. We've already done this before. We had an all-black football league called the Negro Leagues. And when those existed, they didn't generate money for the black community. In fact, they ended up getting bought out by the mob. So what's different with the Negro Leagues than what happened with the HBCU? I don't see what happened differently.
Okay, you asked me. So once again, I'm going to go back to what I said earlier and what Dr. Amos Wilson said. I don't live back then, we live now. But the difference is media everywhere, TV camera everywhere. You can even show the games. So it's about getting paid, the eyes, how many people gonna come and support the game. Like I said, when people go to the game, they always talk about what Jackson State football does for the economy and black-owned businesses there, because people actually go to the game because Jackson State is actually involved in the community. They are actually part of the city. So they talk about the money that it generates. So you'll have to study to understand how it will generate, how it does generate money. If it don't generate as much as it generate at a white school, because white people is not coming to the HBCU to cheer for them. Black people is going to the white school to cheer for the white school. And white people is going to that same white school to the games to support and cheer for the white school. I don't know why that don't make sense.
Well, so to me, what doesn't make sense is, first of all, the HBCUs don't even teach any type of black unity.
Please stop saying that. I ain't gonna let you continue with that. I ain't gonna let you continue.
I'm gonna go back to their very when they got started.
I'm gonna let you continue with that fear. Which one started? Which one? They. So tell me, you got the same.
So okay,
all of them didn't start the same way. All of them didn't start the way. All of them didn't start the same way. So which one? And tell me how.
Okay,
name the school and tell me how it started.
The majority of them were started by white philanthropists. Back in the
so who started Jackson State? Who started Jackson State?
That's irrelevant right now. Let's focus on what.
No, it's not. No, it's not, because that's what we was talking about. And like I said, when it started, and you say I foam at the mouth, what I do is put a mirror in your face so you can look at your black skin with white words coming out of it. Because that's what all y'all do. With this fake black shit, all y'all motherfuckers sound just like white folk. Let's talk negative about those.
Get the words out my mouth yet.
You don't sound like white folk, bro. You sound like white people.
Let me finish. You
don't sound like white people.
Okay, I'll eat that. Whatever. I sound white. Okay, whatever. So let me get back to my point. So because at historically black colleges, okay, what is their curriculum? When we look at their history, we understand.
You tell me that curriculum.
Hold on.
Tell me that curriculum.
Do I need to? Because our historical black colleges teaching African-centered studies? No, they're not. Are they teaching black?
How do you know? Wait a minute.
Come on.
Hold. See,
it's already there.
Because you sound like that. You sound like that white preacher.
Hold on.
No, you sound like that white preacher. You sound like that white preacher. And then you don't want nobody to say.
Bakari, let the
finish. Listen. Have you?
Then you don't want nobody to say nothing. All y'all white. I ain't gonna say all y'all because Coach one ain't saying. But you some a black skin with white mind and words. Go ahead.
Have you ever heard of Howard Zinn?
Don't matter. What you say? Irrelevant. Don't matter.
Right, that's a very.
Just talk.
Howard Zinn was a teacher who was considered to be too radical for an
man. Just go ahead. I don't care about Howard Zinn. Just go ahead and say what you're gonna say. He don't matter. He doesn't matter.
If you have a teacher that's considered to be too radical for your school.
Okay, which school is that? Which school was that?
Spelman, I believe.
So how many? Wait a minute. So that's one HBCU, right?
But that's not the point.
That is the point. Because what you said was HBCUs
are not revolutionary. They're not producing black revolutionaries.
I got an idea. Wait a minute, Carl, because I know you're going to get a whole lot of black people to co-sign with you. There's a whole lot of y'all pro-black people. So watch this, right? So watch this. I guarantee you want to debate me on that. I bet you I can go through and show you what they teach. You running your mouth, but I keep telling you I know. And every time you shit on them, I keep telling you. And yes, I'm going to form it, especially at a damn, because you're sounding like a sambo right now. I'm just telling you what you sound like. So watch this. Wait a minute. Who founded the white schools that y'all never say nothing about that 90% of the black children go to? Who founded them? I'll wait. Who founded them?
I mean, those we're not. But see,
90% of black.
That's all understood. That's all we understand that.
Wait. Okay, I got an idea then, Carl. I got an idea. I'm finna show you the difference in my mentality and your mentality. Who founded the gated community that you live in? Who you gating yourself out from? Who you don't want to be around?
First of all, it's not gated. I was just joking.
You said it. I did.
I know I said that, and I'm joking. It's not gated. So
we have different mentalities, and that is okay. That's why we talk about fighting. I'm ready to fight. Y'all gonna look for a reason to talk negative about something black because this one did something that I don't agree with, and since they did something, I'm gonna say it's all 117 of them. Don't that sound like white people saying black folks steal? Or when you go in the Chinese store, hurry up and buy because that black person stole. Now this black person this black person coming in. So now this black person got to hurry up and buy because that black person stole, and y'all think it's a different because a damn coon can sit there and say it by black people, but white people and Asians can't. Ain't no different than Carl, them white people that said and them Asians that said, because that's what he just did. He named one school and said all of them just like that and don't know what he's talking about. And people let him get away with it because black people today like to tell black people, you don't need to go to college now. You don't need to go to college. Don't do this, don't do that, because they haven't been affiliated with any HBCUs and haven't studied in the HBCUs and don't know what they teach. So all I got to do is talk bad about black people, and other black people is going to ride with me. I can go viral. You don't believe me? Just watch YouTube. Ain't no difference, bruh. I keep telling y'all that. Our mentality is different, the way we see things, how we live. The things we do, we just different, and that is okay. But we ain't on the same page when it comes to this black shit.
We're not on the same page with HBCUs because they're not producing revolutionaries. They're not producing revolutionaries. They're producing a bunch of status quo Negroes. Wait
a minute. Did you just listen to Dr. Amos Wilson? And was he a revolutionary? What was Dr. Amos Wilson? Was he a revolutionary?
I consider him a revolutionary scholar. Yeah, he was.
Where did he go? I'll wait. Where did he go?
You tell me where he went. I forgot where he went.
Morehouse.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Listen, I'm not saying that. Okay, I'm not saying that HBCU.
Where did Medgar go? Where did Medgar go? Where did Medgar go?
I'm not saying that HBCU cannot produce. So who?
Where did Medgar Evers go? Because every time y'all say this,
I'm not saying.
Every time y'all say this dumb shit,
you're too close to this situation, so you too.
Every time y'all say this dumb shit,
I can kill it because you're getting too in your feelings right now.
I can kill no dumb shit. I'm just telling you, you sound like white people.
And you sound like white people. And you sound like a raving lunatic. Maybe you take your meds and calm down.
You say I'm getting emotional. I'm a human. I have emotions. So it's okay to get emotional. See, that don't bother me when you say that. That's how y'all.
You're not an animal, so control your emotions. Then, if you
I have emotions. I have emotions.
They control.
I'm not a coon. You're right. You're right. I'm not. You sounding like the animal right now, the coon, not me.
The animal rights people.
But I am an animal. Humans are animals.
Talk about the animal rights people. They good people. Leaving people alone. They ain't hurt nobody. Leaving people alone.
I ain't saying animal rights people. I said you sound like an animal right now.
That because that's not even the you can't even accept.
I'm telling you what you're sounding like.
The smallest criticism against HBCUs, and you go.
But you don't know what you're talking about. If you knew what you was talking about, y'all spread bullshit and expect somebody to say, "Yeah, I'm going to uphold that." When you don't know what you're talking about.
You said Morehouse, you said Medgar Evers. Okay, that's two good people. That's good. I'm not saying that HBCUs cannot produce revolutionaries because they do. But I'm saying for the most part, most black colleges produce status quo Negroes.
So where do revolutionaries come from? Where do revolutionaries come from?
They come from the people.
What people?
What if black people? Fred Hampton didn't go to college. He was a revolutionary. Malcolm X was a revolutionary. He didn't go to college.
Okay, that's good.
Just going to HBCU exclusively makes you revolutionary.
I never said it did. You know what? I never said it. See, that's what y'all do with this bullshit argument. Y'all like to say,
Thank
No,
you
don't
so
tell y'all
much.
bullshit.
Thank you.
Because
That's a
what
good
you like to
point.
say is
But Rudy
going
was
to
kicked out of Morehouse.
HBCU don't make you a revolutionary. I never said it did. But what you do say is HBCUs don't produce revolutionaries. Then when I just name a couple, because I know way more than that, but then I just name a couple, well, I ain't saying it don't. I ain't saying it don't create none. Goddamn, if you gonna say something, Stan, you see how I don't switch up. You can switch up. Because I know what I'm talking about and you don't. You just want to hate on that school, right? I know what I'm talking about. You don't. So I stand firm on what I'm saying. You can't. Because when you say something, I can pull your coattail on your bullshit. So then you got to switch up a little bit. That's all I'm saying. You want me to co-sign bullshit, and I'm not.
How about this? How about this? You guys want to debate it? We could do it on Bakari's channel. You could do it here. We could debate the significance of HBCU universities and sports if y'all want to. Let me know if y'all want to do it over here or on KWAZ Radio itself, because I've been trying to get a debate show going. That'll be a good kickoff. You guys let me know.
They scared of that, Koku.
Hey, anybody scared of you? Hold on, bring it. Let's bring it. Just let me out.
Okay, when? Because I'm gonna just take you. I'm gonna just take you. I'm gonna take you. I'm gonna share you what I'm gonna do, and I ain't gonna tell you which schools, but I can give you the opportunity to look them up for yourself. I'm gonna just take you through 8 HBCUs where people traveled throughout to see what they were teaching, and they were like, I was surprised when I went to this school how they worship Malcolm X and Marcus Garvey more than they worship Jesus. And at this school, Marcus Garvey is put on a high pedestal, and how they're teaching this at this school, and they teach this more than this. And what I'm telling you is, I know what's going on. You don't. So you like to say bullshit, and you want me to co-sign and say, well, you anybody have a critique? But your critique is just some made up bullshit. It's not real. It's not real.
What happened to Stokely Carmichael when he went to Howard? Did he graduate from Howard? Did he get? I mean, we literally got examples of getting kicked out of school because they were too radical.
It's not a real critique.
We got multiple.
It's not a real critique.
That's not bullshit. That's examples right there. But go ahead, continue.
It's not a real critique.
Those black cops that killed that brother and who beat that young man to death, they were all in. Not only were they went to HBCU, they were in a goddamn fraternity. So much for black power.
No.
They just killed that man.
Okay, those people was some. Who said everybody went to an HBCU was perfect? Who said that? Y'all like to throw out the examples. Like I said, if they went to an HBCU, no, they don't. But the difference between me and you, when I talk about the shit about an HBCU and what needs to be done, I don't follow the status quo on social media or what I believe. I talk about what I know. That's the difference. I talk about HBCUs too. I know the bullshit. I know some of the bullshit, a little bit of the bullshit, and I know what needs to be done. But I don't just make up shit to talk bad about black people. Because that's what we do. We make up shit to talk bad about black people. But then we'll turn around in the next breath and say, we revolutionary, we want to fight the system. No, you don't. No, you don't.
You won't be fighting since we go into HBCU. I know that. But listen, let's have this debate. We just screaming at each other. I want to have this debate. Let's set it up for later in the week, Koku, because I work during the week. But anytime, like Friday, Saturday night, I'm good.
I'll email both of you about it. Does anyone else want to add any thoughts to the prompt woke virtue signaling Jackson State girl kicker Lalania Menta makes debut versus Bethune-Cookman? Any other last thoughts here? The chat, the forecast says, I don't know about getting a white girl on the team though. There's been a lot of, shout out to Andy McPhail for joining. A lot of you joined tonight. Real Black Gentleman is out there. So thanks to all of you who are making the chat lively. I do appreciate it. That's the last prompt of the night. I don't want to go over like I did last week, so I won't bring in the possible.
What's the possible, Coco? What's the possible? What's the possible?
Let's discuss paternity fraud.
What's wrong with paternity?
Let's hold that for next week. Let's hold that one.
Let's try to end on a good note, man. My American brethren, oh goodness, man. I love them, man. They just get the party started. They really, they just get the party started. But let's try to end on a good note because the brothers been arguing. Let's try to end on something.
Hey,
that we
listen,
can
I don't mind a spirited exchange of ideas. You know, it's all good to me.
No, definitely,
You know,
man.
and I
And you
don't
know what?
run. So
And you know,
yeah,
and you know what? Black Steel, the both of you all have the same kind of zeal for black people and love for black people. You all just see things differently. Brother Bakari have a love for black people, and so do you. You know, you all just have a different standpoint. If we all want to debate it, that's fine. But I wanna. Brother Bakari is always mentioned in terms of being positive and positivity and being on one accord. Let's see if we can end it on a positive note. If we could. If we can, it's okay. But if we could, let's try it. That's what I see.
Well, the video for the last for the possible prom, let's discuss paternity fraud is only a 2-minute video. So you guys let me know. You guys want to discuss it or not?
we can have a palate cleanser. Let's go ahead and discuss it. Cleanse the palate.
All right. If you guys are okay with it, I'm okay with it. Should read topic number 6, the final topic for tonight, the palate cleanser, if you will. Let's discuss paternity fraud. This comes with a link taking us to YouTube. Short video. I'll just play it once. It's a 2-minute video. We should be able to follow along.
Claims a major triumph in his 3-year quest to protect men from paying child support for children they didn't father. Last year, he helped change Georgia law, and today his work was put to the test with his own future on the line. Fox 5's Lisa Crane has the story.
The first case is Tony Odom versus Carnell Smith.
But it was a case that didn't make it into open court. After years of fighting, a judge today ruled Carnell Smith was not responsible to pay child support to a child he did not father. Almost 3 years ago, a DNA test proved that the then 11-year-old girl he had thought was his own was not his child. But in Georgia, that didn't mean the end of his own obligation to financially support that child. Smith turned his case into a crusade and helped shape paternity fraud legislation that passed last year. Today, his case was the first to test the new law, and in chambers, the judge terminated his parental rights and obligations.
I feel this is a major victory for defrauded victims everywhere.
There were a lot of people watching this case, like Reverend Randall Robinson. Through DNA testing, he discovered that some of the children he had always thought were his own weren't.
In a previous marriage, and 2 out of the 3 children are not mine. At that time, I still was ordered by the court to pay child support.
And this is the first real test of this new legislation, but it appears right now that even after a man proves he is not the biological father, he must still come to court to end his child support obligation. Smith says there's still work to be done in Georgia.
We're going to ask that there be a truth in pregnancy disclosure, that we believe that mothers who know there's more than one person that could be the child's father should be required to make that declaration before the court in the very first hearing.
In DeKalb County, Lisa Crane, Fox 5 News.
Carnell Smith is also working on similar legislation in more than 20 other states and in several other countries. He says he would still like to have contact with the now 14-year-old girl he thought was his daughter, but he says that's up to her mother.
Yeah, that's a sad state of affairs. They really need to do paternity testing at birth, if we're to be honest. Last night on that 4Kast panel, one of the questions that came up was distrust of women. And I mentioned that generally I don't just sit up here and distrust women, but I think a lot of the people who do so around sexual aspects of relationships. And this is one of those examples. The outcome of sex is the birth of a child, and you go in there as a man being a provider, a protector, standing tall, and you're being scammed. I think if the system really cared, the system would install a paternity testing at birth. I saw a statistic the other day that suggested that Jamaica has the highest number of paternity fraud going in the world. Like 65% of men.
Oh
think
my God!
Yeah, man. Blood cleat. Like 65% of men have been fooled, it seems. based on the statistics that I saw. And that's kind of wild to me. And I think, we have to figure out a way to make the cost of paternity testing cheaper. In fact, they don't have to be that expensive anyway. And we got to start putting out these services similar to how we did, Ancestry.com, AfricanAncestry.com. We need to have our people who can do these testings. The problem is we don't have the power to enforce it. So I don't know how we're going to deal with that per se. But something needs to happen. Real Black Gentleman in the chat said he heard it 70% in Jamaica. So round up from my 65 to 70. It's somewhere between those numbers. And that's wild. That's really wild. Razuli, what say you to all of it?
I think this is a disgrace. If you lay with the woman, you should be paying child support. Yo, let's protect our sisters. Let's protect our kids.
What you talking about?
I disagree with that, man. The children is gonna suffer. I thought we was a village. Let's protect all the women. So what?
I can't go.
So now you're not the father. You sign your name on the birth certificate. You gotta pay. If it's for 18 years, who cares? The woman's always right. And I think this court is misogynistic towards women. So I disagree with that. That's what I'm saying, Goku.
He's capping big time.
What's really going on?
No, I think.
Go ahead, Buana. Go ahead.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. I'm not capping. If you getting that woman cooch, she
Come
done
on,
had a
Brother
baby.
Bakari, bro. Come on, bro.
No, man, look. You know how many kids I got? 14. All of them ain't mine. So you know what? That was somebody else, but I was still getting it. So I just go ahead and I'm just talking shit, man. But no, that's crazy. If they look, Buana, like, come on, bro, now. But that's crazy, man. Now something need to be done. Something need to be done about that. Can you take a DNA test for the babies? I don't know. I ain't never had to take a DNA test, but for no child. But I'm just saying. Can you take it? Something need to be done with this court system, and that shit is designed for them to stay on your back and for you to stay in the system. That's my take on it any damn way. Now, what you said about Jamaica, what's the rate in Jamaica? 65% or what? 70% or what?
Yeah, 65 to 70%
That's
between me
wild.
and
That's wild.
me and RBG's numbers. 70% of men, 65 to 70% of men do not know that they are not the father to their children.
Well, I don't even know how someone would know that stat right there. But I'm just being, I don't know how nobody would know that. That's crazy to put that stat out. I wonder how they would know. The people that wrote that stat know Lil Lamar ain't the daddy, but Lil Lamar don't know. I just think there's some stuff that they making up and throwing out there. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, I need to see some sources with that.
I'm gonna say this right. So even when I see the sources, it's something made up. But watch this, right? What I said in the beginning, I got that from BB King, because BB King had 13 kids, but only had 5 biological kids. He said, man, me and them women had fun together. When them kids came along, they weren't mine. I just went ahead and took care of them anyway, because I could still go have me some fun until the day. And I just went ahead and took care of them kids so I could keep having fun. That's who I got that from. What I said was BB King.
Yeah, I think those stats came from court cases. So I think when Jamaican men, did challenge these things, I think they found that 70% of the time, the father was not, the man was not the father. I think that's how that goes. Buana, what say you?
I was reading Afro Native. What he say? Let me see what he say. Afro Native say. He say, "Gal love give jacket over there." So he's a Caribbean man. That's obvious. But let me say this: in the Caribbean, in places like Jamaica and certain places, let me tell you something. If men in these Caribbean islands, when things are matters of the heart, they are very murderous, and I can't speak. I don't want to speak badly of my people, but they are murderers. And when they discover that the child ain't theirs, they commit murders, even on either on the women or the children. And I wouldn't. I don't think that it should be done, but that's what is happening. So if it's 70%, I would think that you would see a lot of women getting murdered, a lot of children getting murdered. That's what happens. That's what happens. And I mean, I don't co-sign it, but I just know the realities that exist. Let me put it like that. So if that statistic is true, you would see more of that happening, and I don't see more of that happening. So I don't know where you get your statistics from. You know what I mean? I don't know. So I would just leave it there. But let me just say this. I think that at the birth of children, there should be a DNA test done. There should be a DNA test done, and that should be legal all over the world. You know what I mean? At the birth of a child, unfortunately, the sentiments of women have changed, and there's a lot of skullduggery involved. And it's not to suggest that it wasn't happening before, but now that we have science right now, I don't want to be bonded to a responsibility that I had no, active involvement with. Active involvement for 18 years. You know what I mean? If I am not responsible, don't bond me to 18 years of responsibility if I am not actually responsible biologically. Find a man who actually is actively responsible for producing that child and bond him for 18 years. So now that we have science, science is telling the truth on everybody now. Everybody now. Nobody can lie and say, because some people claim, say, well, my mother said use die or is true. Die or is true. So now we putting the responsibility off on people who have actively participated in certain acts, and the seat is going out of the window now. We in the information age. We are in the information age where you can't hide lies. And you can't say, this is my daddy when it ain't actually true. So either you could choose to govern yourself or not so. But don't bond me to a child that is not mine for 18 years of his life. And when the responsibility of children extend beyond 18 years, it go beyond, much beyond 18 years. People who are responsible dads. So I think that this particular gentleman, he is a revolutionary. You see, now in the so-called third world, you see DNA testing should be done in the third world.
He's a coon. He hates black women. He hates black people.
Okay, but I just talk. Let's focus on specifically what he wants to happen. DNA testing. DNA testing is important though. That is important. He could be a coon, but that act is important itself. Now I seeing people actually saying, "Well, you ain't my actual father. You are not my daddy." Where my daddy is, going to the mother and saying, "Mommy, where my daddy is?" Because you've been lying to me for 18 years. You see, just an incident of Kirk Franklin. I don't know if the brothers know who Kirk Franklin is. Kirk Franklin's mother was lying to him for many years, and he thought was his daddy. He buried him, only to discover his mother was lying. The Kirk Franklin is a 50-year-old man, only to discover that the man he thought was his father was not his father. This is a real problem in the community. They say that the black man always sleeps around and do all kinds of things like that. But the secret is that there are the women been doing certain things too. And nobody want to talk about the moms because we love the moms. We don't want to discard the moms. We don't want to disrespect the moms. But the moms have been found wanting as well in terms of who the real fathers are. And I don't want to get mixed up in paternity report. If the truth is to be put on the black man, it's also to be put on the black woman as well. Let's talk truth now, all across the board.
Nah, man, I'm not gonna let you disrespect the queens like that, the goddess.
No, brother, no, I can't do that. I can't do that, brethren. I can't do that. If the truth is supposed to be put out there, it has to be put out there across the board, because you need to find out who your daddy is for truth, who your daddy is for truth.
The children of the children of the village, bro.
Village age, no, bro, it
don't matter. Black men take
No,
care of all the
no,
kids.
not, no, I
Of
don't,
all
no,
the
no,
kids.
no,
The kids is not yours. Take care of him.
no,
Black
no,
women have been mistreated. She's the most unprotected.
no. I'd protect. No. You can't do that, bro. You can't do that. Find out who the real daddy is and go find him to take up the responsibility of fatherhood. Don't deny him of that responsibility of fatherhood. And I shouldn't be responsible for taking care of someone else's child when I am not his father. If you was living in the sea,
You are his father, Bowana. That child belongs to the community. And ain't you supposed to protect the community as a black man?
I am, but
Okay,
but
so
if,
what you do? So
but
why
I
you
but I
want to take care of a kid? So why it didn't come from your penis? It's still the
no,
child
but
of the community.
yeah, but I also supposed to accept personal responsibility for something that I actually actively participated in. Actively participated in. If I didn't actively participate in the production of that child, why am I held to a closer responsibility than a
You was
man
hitting
who?
it. You was hitting it. Your sperm just
Yeah,
didn't.
but I didn't.
The other sperm just beat your sperm to it, bro.
Yeah, but so he is responsible. Why am I more responsible than him?
It
That's his
doesn't
child.
matter, man. The black woman is God and queen. She don't do nothing
Well,
wrong. You
What you
that's
smoking over there, Zula? What you got over there? You
that's
smoking,
no,
man?
you
that's
supposed to take care of the black woman in the family. You
Man,
supposed to
fuck them
protect
kids, man. Fuck them
I
kids.
love the black. I love the I love the black woman. No, I understand what it's really doing. I love the black woman and I
No,
respect
you
the black.
don't. You don't love the black woman. You hate the black woman. You hate the black children. Black men stand up and take care of the kids, even if it's not yours.
So let me ask. So let me
That
ask
man
you a
is a
question.
coon right
When?
there.
So let me ask. So
Trying
let
to
me
get
ask you.
people to take DNA, trying to
So,
have
so let me
pregnancy.
ask you a
Stop
question.
it.
Let me ask you a question, Zuli. No, hold on. Wait a minute. Because Zuli doing a community service right now. So when Pookie commits a crime, even though I'm not responsible for that crime, I'm supposed to be held in the same regards as the person who actually committed the crime. So I should go to jail for the Pookie who actually committed the crime.
Well, if you was with him, you're both
No,
guilty.
no. If I wasn't with him, when he
That
robbed the drug
that
store,
woman would not be able to put your name on the birth certificate or would be able to put you as the father if you wasn't having unprotected sex with her. So yeah.
So we don't believe in science.
So you
We
was
don't
doing
believe in
crime
science.
too.
We don't believe in science no more.
Hey, the children belong to the community, brother.
Community?
Yes.
Okay.
It takes a village. It takes a village to raise.
Okay.
To raise them.
I don't agree with that, but I hear what you're saying. I'll stop there and let the other brothers go.
Shout out to Jose in the chat. Jose saying, "What's up, y'all? Good to see you, brother. I know it's late where you're at, so but thanks for coming through." Black Steel, you heard everything everyone had to say. What say you?
So I think that we're missing a very important issue is that a birth certificate is a legal document. So if you put someone's name on there who isn't the father, you're committing fraud. So the problem, I think, is that there's no real punishment for the women that are doing this. So if I was to forge a document and I get caught, there's a penalty. You pay fines, you could go to jail depending on the severity of the crime. So to me, the problem is that when this paternity fraud happens, there's no punishment for the woman. There's no deterrent for her. So she could lie, put some man's name on the birth certificate. And the thing is, you don't necessarily got to be sleeping with her. You could be somebody she knows. You could just be a man she dated in the past, and she don't like the dude she got pregnant from. Maybe you got a better job than the baby daddy. She puts your name down. This happened in Michigan, I think. There's one story where the woman put the man's name down and then sent it to another address. So because he never got the summons to court to contest it, he was automatically put on the birth certificate. I can go into more detail, but overall, I think it's a question of fraud. There's no deterrent for these women. You could go in there, you could put the name. You don't got to pay the money back. That's one. Number two, you don't face any type of penalty. There's no fines or jail time, nothing. So basically, you could ruin a man's whole life. And what's to dissuade you? What's to dissuade other women? Nothing. So I agree that there needs to be some type of deterrent for this behavior. Some people they may not necessarily want to get a paternity test at birth. You know, that's your lady. You're feeling emotional. You know you don't want to test her because you trust her. You don't want to accuse her of being unfaithful. I mean, a lot of men get caught in that trap. A lot of women, they tend to act, very upset. Oh, I can't believe you would accuse me of cheating. You're the only one. I'm sure those men heard that story too. But if you suspect that is not your child, number one, don't sign shit until you get a paternity test, because that that birth certificate is a legal document. In many cases, even if you're not the father, you can still be held liable for child support, even if you're not the biological father. So, and I think that if it turns out that you're not the biological father, you should be taking on the birth certificate. That woman should be made to pay that money back. She should be facing fines, jail. You have to make the consequences of the action greater than the reward if you want the behavior to stop. Because there's no consequences, no one's gonna stop. So I'll leave it there.
Any other last words from anyone here? All right, that's good. That's the show tonight. We actually got through 6, and we just went over by 10 minutes. That's pretty good. We did 6 topics, so that's the show tonight. Bakari, you want to shout anything out this week?
Can y'all hear me?
Your volume is low, but go ahead.
No, it really ain't nothing to shout out, man. If we do that debate, it would have to be on your channel. I don't know if you tell that I ain't been on my channel in a while, and you remember I had stopped, didn't come over here for like 2-3 weeks over here. I'm trying to get away from YouTube because most of the people on YouTube, they ain't really ready to do the things that I'm ready to do. They just look for a reason to hate on black folk so they can go viral. So I don't even know whenever I'm going to do another show that we can do the debate over here. And that would be my last time ever debating this topic again. Because for me, my thing, I instead of looking for something good that black people have done, we said on social media and we got to find where these black people did this negative and these black people did this wrong. And for me and the way I live, it's just a bunch of bullshit, and I don't see no fight in none of those people. And what the debate is going to be about, and one thing I noticed, most people, that's it, because I can just go on this. Thank you for letting me speak, man. That's it.
I appreciate you, Bakari. We'll talk. We'll talk. Azuliism, want to shout anything out this week?
I want to give a shout out to the Mississippi Jackson State internet that Bakari's using because it's terrible. Shout out to HBCU internet. Anyway, great show. Protect all black women at all costs. All black hooligans, hoodlums at all costs. The black woman is God. I'm out. Later.
All right. Thanks for coming through, Azuli. I saw Azuliism this week, too. Buana, you want to shout anything out?
Yeah. A shout out to, first of all, shout out to Brother Bakari. I hope Brother Bakari hears my effort and attempt to speak positively. When we talk about black people, I have tried, initially to make it clear that I am attempting to be positive towards my brothers and sisters. So I don't want him to think that it's all lost, because I listen to him and I try to apply some of the things that he suggests and to speak positively. Shout out to Azuli though. Azuli was trying to play the devil's advocate, and in him doing so, he was trying to bring awareness to a lot of realism. So I understand the position he was taking. We'll talk about Haiti later, but that's my brother was trying to do something as an alternative to play devil's advocate, and I understand that. Shout out to Black Steel was always keeping it consistent. He was trying to bring some balance with him and Brother Bakari. and I would like to see. I don't even want to see them. If you all debate, I don't want it to be a disrespectful one. I'm sure y'all won't be disrespectful. It's just a debate of ideas, and just we understand it's all love across the board, but we could always disagree as well. And there's nothing to that. So I'm sure that Black Steel and Brother Bakari will keep it respectful, but they'll still debate their ideas. And I appreciate the fact that Brother Bakari still is fuck with us, because he still sees us as something that is credible out there, who is trying to bring information to the people that is relevant and is productive and something that is actually feeding the minds of the people. But I would leave it there and just I would say respect everyone. You all have a good week.
Same to you, Buana. Lastly, but not leastly, Black Steel, you want to shout anything out this week?
Oh, thanks, Koku. I enjoyed the show. Nothing really to shout out. But yeah, I think it was a lot good show, good topics. Especially the last one, that was crazy. But no, I just I appreciate all the panelists on the show, and yeah, I look forward to debating whenever you, like I said, you keep in touch and we'll set something up.
Yeah, I'll email you guys this week concerning that. And again, and like Buana said, and I will echo those thoughts. We'll be debating the ideas, not emotions, and especially not anger and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, we'll email. I'll try to email you guys tomorrow about it, actually. Well, that's the show for this week. Good discussion, good numbers, good chat, interaction. I appreciate everyone who was here. Buana, Erzuli, Black Steel, Brother Bakari. I appreciate everyone who was out there in the chat tonight. Trigger Happy 262, Afro Native World, KW Don 7, Jose also wonders what the numbers of paternity fraud are in the Muslim countries. That'll be interesting to look at too, actually. The 4Kast was here, Real Black Gentleman. A couple of new folks were here tonight. Anthony McPhail was here. What's the names? Conscious Mingle was here. Thank you for coming through. And there was another brother who's new here tonight, who's an instructor at the school. I can't seem to find your name in the chat, but forgive me for not getting your name, brother. But thank you for being here as well. All right, without further ado, we'll be back next Saturday. Who knows? Maybe you'll see me during the week. Subscribe to the Shoot the Breeze Clips YouTube channel. The link is up there, pinned to the top of the chat. Subscribe there. The clips, some of these clips be doing very well after the fact. So subscribe and check it out so you too can comment to some of the commentary. I'll see you guys next week. You guys.
Thanks for listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast with your host, Koku. If you like what you just heard, we hope you pass along our web address, bittermedicineblogs.com, to your friends and colleagues, and share our show to all your social media. Be sure to check out our archive section on our website for previous podcasts. This has been a KWAZ radio production. Join us next time for another session of the Bitter Medicine Podcast. Follow us on Facebook at Bitter Medicine Show, Twitter, Bitter Meds, Tumblr, Bitter Meds, Instagram, Bitter Medicine.